I went and washed my mouth out with soap just in case I had some bad thing.
Okay, we ready, Bill? You say yes. All right, good morning. I call to order the board meeting of December 5th, 2022 at 9:30 here in Marks Hall. Lewis, would you give us the invocation and lead us in the pledge, please?
Okay. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time together. We ask that you be with us and strengthen us and provide us with wisdom, understanding, and listen to everyone before we speak, that we may make the best decisions for our park and its residents. These things we ask in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, could we have a little roll call, please?
Sure, Mary Chandler.
Here.
Lori Dalton here. Kathy Gregory.
Here.
Todd Lombardi.
Present.
Russell McAllister.
Here,
Louis Nichols.
Here.
Pete Price. Sandy Simonich. Here. Dwayne Trotter.
Here. Okay, could we start off with resident comments, please?
let them know the 3 minutes and everything.
And just a reminder, please give your name and address and you have the 3 minutes.
My name is Oy Salomon, 1704 Ohio. I was here for the candidate night. It was informative and everyone that is running was well qualified. But I have a question on one candidate. This is not personal, but a question about conflict of interest. A travel service run from this community is wonderful and convenient for residents to have here in Trail Estate. But I find out that this is a paid position, not as a volunteer. Don't know how legal standing on this one, but need more clarify to address this because our Board of Election is tomorrow. Thank you.
Good morning, PE Board. I am here as an individual who volunteers at the Treasure Barn on a regular basis.
Ruth, name and address, please.
Yes, Ruth Coppin, 6823 Massachusetts Street. I am not the official voice of the Treasure Barn. At this point, we have someone else that does that. This is my personal plea. I have a proposal and will outline it for you at this time. I would like to propose that you allow the Treasure Barn to use the main area, the bays, where the fire trucks once sat, to both store and display furniture. This would give us more flexibility with our sales, room to display better, not having to constantly move items in and out, causing breakage, not stressing our volunteers, making work easier and safer as they move about, increasing our dollar sales, being able to be open on rain and windy days, again, increasing sales, sometimes setting up tables for displaying miscellaneous items for sale due to wind and rain again, allow us to display standing clothes racks in the current furniture storage area due to wind and rain. This would be a win-win for both the park and the Treasure Barn and give us at least 1 year to try a new concept. We are a strictly volunteer group. We are a hardworking, dedicated group who continues to serve the TE Park and Recreational District with the profit directly and service to everyone in the park, both monetarily and socially. Our monies average well over 500 each time the sales doors are open, and even increase to over $1,000 at peak times. This is
30
100%
seconds, Ruth.
pure profit for the park. Last summer, I asked Chairperson Trotter and other maintenance people if they were planning to move into the fire barn with anything else, and I had a definite no for the answer. We are, because the maintenance is located centrally in the park. I understand there's a present contractor who is remodeling the marina and uses the bays now, and that's fine. Please give my proposal consideration before answering. Remember, I am speaking as an individual, not a voice of the Treasure Barn Committee. And I wish you all good luck on your election tomorrow, and may the best man win. Woman. Win.
Person.
Thank you.
Ruth, did you give a copy of this to TJ?
Yes,
Jody
I
did.
Perfect.
Filed and
That's-
stamped.
Nope, that's all. And she knows it's being passed out in this meeting.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah.
You're
He's all
saving me
set.
a step.
He's all set.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you, Ruth.
Good morning. Lenora Neal, 6619 California Street. Mine is not a complaint. It's merely a question because I've been curious about it. The Treasure Barn is now a standing committee, if I'm correct in understanding that. Now, the volunteers that are there, they need to be approved like always before the beautification. They approved the people that were on. Then are they considered committee members or are they volunteers? I'm just trying to clear in my mind how it's working. It doesn't matter to me. That was just my question.
Do I have any other resident comments from in the house? And do I have any resident comments from Zoom, please? Hearing none, I'm going to close resident comments. Would any of the trustees like to respond to the resident comments? I don't understand the candidates night one.
Yeah, I didn't understand Roy's question either. Can we have her come back and do interactive?
I'd like to get that answered. Can I have a motion to have a
Yes.
interactive
I'll make a motion that we make that interactive.
second?
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay. Oi, would you come back and explain that, please? I didn't quite understand that.
Question was, conflict of interest. You run business and this is profit-making business. And as a trustee, as a trustee, does that become conflict of having business run, self-promoted to be on the board? This is not volunteer. The business that she advertised.
Now that I understand what you're asking, let me go ahead and check back with the attorney just to make sure I don't have a conflict of interest. Good question. I can't answer that right now.
So that's unusual to me. And you're up here to promote your business.
Well,
And-
Well, if
I
you're-
don't think you're promoting the business as a trustee.
We have to be careful. My son out of state, so I don't have to answer for that here, but he does blacktop.
Hmm.
If the park wanted to do blacktop and his company tried to bid for that job, I would have to excuse myself from it because I have a conflict of interest. But any other choices of blacktop companies and stuff, I can be involved in that because there's not a direct conflict. So I'm not sure where
Right.
that line lies, but I
Right.
understand your question and I like Dwayne's answer.
So that's what I
I
say.
will check into that.
Kind of a little gray line there, but
Yeah.
it's not personal attack this person. I just question about business and being, in favor of residents. And there's no interest involved in there. Thank you for all the hard work you guys have been done for our community.
Great, thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, Ruth, to answer your question on the bays on the firehouse, the board has already voted to move the maintenance down to the maintenance, I'm sorry, to the fire department, building. The reason I said no at the time is because we were looking to rent the facility out. One was to an ambulance company, one was to another company. But what the main stopping point is when we found out that the zoning was only for residential. All of our rental places went right out the window because I couldn't do it. Once that happened, then the board decided to go ahead and move the maintenance shop down there. Once, oh, help me, I just forgot. Florida Structural, once they get done, they will not be using that bay, but we will be moving from the old maintenance building to the fire department. The trucks, the tractors and all that stuff will be moved into those front bays. And we've already worked out a plan with the treasure barn on restructuring some of that, but we are going to leave him with the main kitchen area as well as I'm hoping the electrical or they do their electrical. I
Yeah,
don't know.
everything they've got now
Stays the same.
will be the same, except for we're gonna take about, I don't know what it was, 6-8 feet of the main sorting room that they're using.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything will stay the same.
Okay. And then Lenora on the standing committee for the treasure barn. Yes, they are a standing committee. Yes, they were voted on as having a president. The officers, they do have to have their
Sunshine law.
meetings
Noticed.
noticed, which has already been done.
Mhm.
They have to do their next elections. Forgive me if I got the dates wrong. January, I think.
Mhm.
Yes.
February,
so.
Yeah, we're
somewhere in
doing
there.
it, yeah.
They will operate the same as what this board does. They abide by the sunshine law.
What I heard in Lenore's
Amen.
question, and I could be wrong on this, was volunteer, Susie resident volunteers at the treasure
Mhm.
barn. Is she a volunteer or is she a committee member?
She's
No,
a she's a
because-
volunteer.
No, she is just a volunteer
volunteer.
and
So
since
would
they
that-
have their
the
board
crux of the question-
established. Yeah, the board only has to abide by the sunshine law, but they take their meetings to their volunteers. That becomes a vote, just the same as what we do here.
We vote on the officers of the treasure barn, but then the volunteers are volunteers.
Okay. Let's go into the approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 21st, 2022 board meeting?
So move.
I'll second.
Todd, do I have a second? Louis, are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. Minutes are approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 21st, 2022 board meeting workshop?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Russell?
I'll second it.
Second, Todd? Are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Can I borrow your
Those against,
minutes?
please say nay.
This is not the last, got the wrong one.
Oh, okay.
The minutes are approved. May we have the treasurer's report, please?
Yes. Okay, as of today, the balance at First Horizon is $10,901.76. Checking account at Regions, $98,591.92. The Regions Bank account that holds the seawall loan has a balance of $574,136.32. The uncommitted funds from the fire department, same as last time, $268,291.57. And the district money market, $839,293.35. Now I want to make some comments about that. Do we need to get that approved first?
I need,
You need
I need,
second.
I need a motion to
Yeah.
approve the treasurer's report first.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Is there any
Pick
discussion?
who seconded? I
No.
heard two voices. Oops.
Sandy did. Go ahead.
Sandy, okay, thank
All right.
you.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that we received our first major deposit from assessments over 500 and some odd $1,000. So I'm going to start building the database that's going to track that because that will be split between assessments and loan for the seawall. So I'm going to start building that database to start doing that. And that'll be important when March comes and we start doing our letters for prepayment options.
Mhm.
That's going to be underway. Also in the checking account, we received $63,602.20 for our first initial payment of the claims we put in for the Hurricane Ian damage. And I'll do a more detailed report on that when I get to my trustee report, but we did get the money that we've been looking for the damage from the hurricane.
Great. Any other discussion?
I've got a question. We normally include the treasure barn with the report of the treasurer, but I know that they've been absolutely rocking it. And so I understand why we might be doing it later. Is that
Yes.
going to be a norm? Are we going to do the treasurer's report without the treasure barn? And then have the treasure barn provide the treasure barn portion of the treasurer's report
If-
later?
yeah.
How are we doing
No,
that?
if people have no objection, I would like it to be that way because I would like them to come to the microphone and brag about how well they're doing and get the recognition for that versus me just spiel a number. So if the board has no problem with that, I'd like that to be the way we handle that.
So we're approving that when they give the dollars, I can then insert them into the treasurer's report that we've already approved.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, good deal.
I appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Hearing the treasury report, all those in favor of approving the treasury report as read, please say aye.
I,
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion is approved. Approval of bills. Do
I
we have
don't.
any bills?
I don't have any.
I do.
You do.
Okay, could I have
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, you do.
He has some-
I was hoping he was gonna pay him for me, but no. Could I have the informational report from the trustees? Who wants to start?
Oh, I am so
You want me to
sorry.
start? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Okay. Since last board meeting, we've had 2 Saturday night dances. On November 26th, we had Happy Days. At the door, we took in $620. That was 83 guests. And the 50-50 split was $158. On Saturday, December 3rd, we had a new DJ. His name is Mike Sean. We took in $462.50 at the door. It was 61 guests. And we had $82 for the 50-50 split. So I did some numbers. So Mary, this is for you.
Oh, okay.
Total door for the month of November, we took in $1,489. We covered the band costs. In fact, the bands were we only spent $1,150 for the entertainment for the month of November. So, and I will do that each month so that you know where we stand. And in comparing last year, November, I'm only counting, they had 4 bands, 4 dances. We only have 3. We're a little bit below what we did last year. So, I really hope the residents will pick up and attend the dances. We have, beginning this Saturday, we have some new bands that have never played here before. It is not the same old going forward, guys. So these folks aren't Happy Days. These are brand new bands that play in a lot of area clubs and restaurants. So please come back. Last Thursday on the 1st, our maintenance staff and team of volunteers decorated the large hall. So if you haven't been to the large hall, especially at night, you need to come. It's really quite stunning. And a huge shout out to Sharecraft, who supplied coffee and donuts. They were much appreciated. It was a long morning. So thank you, maintenance staff. Guys, you guys rock. Christmas and New Year's dance tickets are doing quite well. I thank you to Hobby Club for allowing me to be there Saturday. So this is where we are. For Christmas Dance, we printed 300 tickets. We have 85 remaining. I think that's outstanding. We only have 4 open tables left. But I can fit people in tables that have less than 6. So if you'd want to go and you want to sit with somebody, let me know. The J.R. Mack Band will be entertaining. I'm going to try to post a video of theirs on Facebook, but they also have websites and are also on YouTube. They play at Tri-Park quite often. I think you'll really enjoy them. We have a lot of surprises for the Christmas dance, which I'm not saying a word about. The doors will open at 6:30, no earlier. Your tables are reserved. You have no reason to come early. You can't come in anyway. So we want to make it so when you walk in, you're going to be really surprised at what you see. So at least that's my goal. On New Year's Eve, we still have over 200 tickets out of 350. I deposited $1,330 into back onto the New Year's Eve profit account, for lack of a better term. Paisley Craze Band will be entertaining. If you don't know who they are, they're a 60s tribute band. So they will be adorned in all their tie-dye garb. They have been around a long time. They played here before. Beautification Committee booked them years ago. They are amazing. So if you like 60s music, you will love them. This is a 4-hour dance. It's at 8 o'clock. Doors open at 7:30. This is reserved tables only. So hopefully you'll be surprised by what you're going to see. I will be at the post office tomorrow and Wednesday from 11 to 1. If you all want to pick up tickets, both events are ticketed events. So without a ticket, you're going to have a hard time coming in. So if you don't know where you're sitting, you want to change your seating, you want to buy tickets, please come see me right away. And on the Christmas dance, if your plans change and you are not going to come, give me the tickets back. I can find a home for those tickets. Don't just, because I want to have the tables full as much as possible. Looking ahead, this weekend, we have Messenger Band playing on Saturday. Again, they're a really great band and they can't wait to be here. Also, I've been contacted by a company called Sip Dip Paints. This is a wine painting party. They're pretty popular and they would like, I know, alcohol and painting, but how can you go wrong? You know? We're not going to paint the walls, I promise. They would like to come. It's we have to supply the room and they bring everything else and people would have to pay. So if there's an interest, maybe after the first of the year, we'll try to get them to come in for a drinking wine party. I mean, what could go wrong? You know?
What could go wrong?
I know. Have handprints on the walls. You know. And look, I want to give some updates on things that I have brought up before. On the emotional support policy and procedure, that's been given to Mark Barnaby to review. And as soon as I get back from him, then I'll present it again. Set up takedown charges. Mary and I have talked about that. And there is money from continuing rec in the setup takedown bank. Okay. And the incident accident reports, the forms are being distributed throughout the campus. In fact, it was used over the weekend. So not happy we had an accident, but the forms were used. So you will look for them. They'll be in blue folders, clearly marked, right by the first aid kits. And there's more to come. So those are being distributed. And I'll give some to you for the instructors. So that process is going forward. So that's it. Thank you.
Kathy, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
What are you waiting on from Mark Barnaby? My brain was wrapped someplace else.
I think it's PP40, emotional support.
PP40, okay, thank you.
Yeah. I asked him a
thought
bunch.
That's what it was
Yeah.
gonna be, but I didn't wanna make stuff up.
I forgot the PP number, so sorry. I gave him a list of all the questions that came up at the last meeting. And then when I get with him, then I'll bring it back. Good, thank you.
Great. Sandy?
Okay, I would like to refresh your minds and inform our residents, our new residents of our activities that we're having here. a lot of people are not, they see it on the calendar, but they don't know what it is. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays at 8 o'clock, we have aerobic exercises here in Marks Hall. I know 8 o'clock's hard time to get up on Saturday morning especially, but it's good for you to start your day out really well. And then on Mondays and Thursdays, we have the same thing again at 5:45. I know that's dinner time, but maybe you can have dinner a little later or a little earlier. On Tuesdays, there's a line dance class from 6 to 8. And the instructor gives us new steps and we refresh our old steps. And that is a class from 6 to 8 on Tuesdays. On Mondays and Wednesdays, we have what's called dance fitness. And it is from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And she plays all kinds of different kinds of music and they really dance for fitness is what it's called. We have chair yoga Wednesdays and Fridays at 9 o'clock. And then we have regular yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 o'clock. So you can come and exercise from 8 to 9, and then you can yoga from 9 to 10. Then you can go play pickleball from 10 till whenever. We got to keep us young here and energetic. I don't know if I've missed any of the more activities. I know we have cards, the play cards as the activity of the mind on Mondays and Fridays, Tuesdays. There's always something going on.
Mhm.
Can't be
Monday,
bored.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Activity hall, small hall, pick your place. You can be entertained. The Bloodmobile is going to be here in January and February, January 19th and February. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Todd?
All right, I'll start with the seawall updates. Last week, they poured 80 yards of concrete. That got them down to basically the first set of stairs from the west end. So you can do the math on how much around there. That's going to be a lot of concrete. It's going well. They're still behind. I requested this morning from them. I sent them an email requesting an updated timeline and he emailed it back right away. He feels he's going to get caught up here real soon, get back up. The hurricane really set them back. Mainly because most of their equipment was in Fort Myers and you all know how well that fared. So they're moving forward. They got more concrete coming tomorrow. They're going to pour the back wall of that first section up to the stairs. So hopefully end of the week, sometime the week after, we'll get boats moved back into those first 8 slips or 6 or 8 slips or whatever, and then be moving more boats around. So it's progressing. It's looking good. They're doing a real good job. Foster has been out 3 times now, and they'll be out again tomorrow, observing the pour concrete tomorrow. They've had very favorable reports on the work they're doing, and I got to tell you, they are doing some good work there. Not moving as fast as I'd like to see them move, but it's moving forward. Anybody's got any questions on the seawall, just call me or see me. I'm down there a lot. So I'm glad to answer you, explain what they're doing and how they're doing it, all that. All right, so the next one I want to talk about was the dumpsters. The dumpsters are getting filled almost on a daily basis, it seems like, and they're getting overfilled. Please do not put stuff in them over the top of the dumpster. And utilize your curbside pickup as much as possible. I don't want to have to send the guys into the dumpsters to pile stuff out and throw half the stuff that's overfilled into that one into the next dumpster. It's already, then we're getting way behind. People are leaving stuff sitting outside the dumpsters. Please do not leave stuff set outside the dumpsters. And it causes problems and it costs everybody in this park money whenever I got to send maintenance guys down there to deal with that stuff. So please just pull up the PP, read it, and abide by the rules, and it'll be a lot better for everybody. I got the maintenance guys scheduled on projects for a long time. They are very busy, and we don't need to add any more work to them if we can help it. Okay, I guess that's all I got right now.
Great, thank you. Mary?
Well, the audit is underway, and we seem to get the new auditors in the firm And so he's getting quite in-depth and the requests are larger than they typically are just for copies of checks and copies of deposits. And plus we've got the seawall loan and we've got the transfer of assets for the fire department. So it's a more complicated audit than it typically is. So it's taking a lot of time for TJ to pull all that information and to work with them. And so just wanted to let everybody know that she's quite busy with that. The seawall, I'm glad you gave an update because the next substantial payment due for them is on December 31st. And then we have a very small final payment in January after final inspection. So I'm going to be going north for the holiday for the first time in 10 years, and I don't get back until the 30th, and it's due the 31st.
In my opinion, we need to discuss that we hold that payment
Okay.
since they're so far behind schedule. That was part of my sending thing for the updated
Yep.
timeline. So I think, we need to have a discussion as
all right.
to whether,
I was thinking the same thing, that
Right.
probably wasn't going to be a problem, because we probably should not pay that final
we
large
need to
payment. Okay.
set up a meeting with
Okay,
them
okay.
and discuss that.
Okay, super. On Wednesday, meeting with TJ and I will be meeting with Regions Bank to take the first step in doing some updates on the way things are processed in the office. The first thing we're going to be doing is moving to see about putting credit card processing in there. So when people are paying their boat leases and their storage lot rentals and even our facility rentals, if they choose to pay by credit card versus cash or check, we'll have the ability to do that. The amount of just pure cash and checks that comes into that is makes me very nervous. And we're going to the bank a couple of times a week now. I want to eliminate those trips to the bank if we can get this in place. So getting that started on Wednesday, and hopefully that'll be something we can do quite easily. As I mentioned, I will be working on building that database for separating our assessments from our seawall payments. And I also mentioned that we got the insurance payout. So I wanted to give a report on what we were able to receive for claims on that. The roof of this building here sustained damage when the roof from the shuffleboard court went airborne and damaged our roof here. They've given us an initial payment of $28,009.44, which is they're deeming the roof needing major repair, and they want to make sure it gets repaired. So they're just giving us an initial payment of $28,000. And then once the repair is done, we can submit the receipts and they will pay up to an additional $30,832.14. So the
Amazing.
maximum they'll pay for the roof damage is $58,841.58. But that is available to us for roof repair. And it can only be used for roof repair.
That's all the buildings.
This,
Just-
the office, the large hall, this cluster of buildings right here, okay? The shuffleboard awning, the roof over the shuffleboard, they gave us $16,219.22. And that's all they're giving us for that. There's not going to be any additional recoverable money. So that's all we have. The actual shuffleboard buildings, the office building, they gave us an initial payment of $7,327.57. Once those repairs are done, if the amount is more than that, they will pay up to another $2,776.61 for a total of $10,104.18. I wasn't quite sure I understood. This was kind of new to me about why we get these initial payments and then future payments. And fortunately, our new insurance company was here the day I got the checks. And so I said, can you help me understand this? And that's when he said that there's this recoverable amounts because they want to make sure you use the money for the repairs that were identified and absolutely nothing else. So we need to talk about that. The fish house. We got $12,045.97. And there's a recoverable amount if it's more than that, up to another $3,144.53. So our bank of money available for the fish house is $15,190.50. So I think we've got on the workshop agenda to talk about the projects because we decided to wipe the capital outlay budget clean and start over. So when we're having those discussions, this is money we can use towards those projects. So we'll just kind of set that aside for future probably. That's it for me.
Do we have a timeline on what we do?
On
Yeah.
when we can submit for the recoverable, I'm not aware of one. I can find out. I think as long as the repairs are done within a reasonable period of time and they're done, but I'll double check.
And if the repairs are less than the value?
No.
Does that money have to be returned or?
No. I don't know. I think it's only, if it's more than that, we have an opportunity to get additional funds if it costs more than that.
But if it's less than that, because I've already got quotes on repairing the roof.
Yeah.
And it's less than that. I
Yeah.
can tell you that right now.
Well, they've never said anything about me needing to require backup information that it's been done, only if it's more than what they paid. So let me make sure that's definitely the case as well.
Okay, Lewis?
Focus right now is on renters that aren't registered. And I'd like to reiterate to landlords that it's incumbent on you to register the renters. It's not, you can't just do it outside of the park and expect them to know it. You are supposed to meet them at the office and you both sign that registration form. And that is not happening often enough. And we're trying to track those instances down. Also, other focus is, had several people have contacted about lawns and some have complied. Some have said they would and following up on the ones that haven't. So good for me.
Great. Russell?
I'm going to go at this a different way. Thank you for all the people who have gotten art permits to do the work around anything outside their house. It's mainly very appreciated because then that allows your neighbors to know that you actually followed the rules and got a permit and put it in your window. So then people aren't calling me and asking me why a permit's not there or why somebody's doing something without notifying somebody. There are incidences in the art committee that they do allow without a permit. When you call them, one of the art committee members, they'll let you know that's okay. Sewer lines that erupt or air conditioners that go out or anything like that. So it's not, most of these permits are not given one day and then given back the next day. They're actually, they can take their whatever time they need, but in emergencies, they will let people work. I also would like to thank the gentleman at 6524 Kansas for cleaning up his swell. After several attempts and the county attempts, he finally has done something. He hasn't finished everything, but he has attempted to start. So between the park writing letters to this gentleman and county coming by there, it's been a couple of months adventure. So thank you for him for doing something at least to help out. And also like Lou was talking about, people aren't registering their renters, nor are they registering themselves. Here's a paperwork. This guy hasn't been registered in here. He took over after his father passed away and they were still using his father's driver's license and everything in the office. So he has, this will be probably the first fine this week that'll be initial sent out. He has not registered himself for about 9 years and his renter has not been registered for 6. So this is not something I want to drive around or I want to spend hours in the office learning to find out that you've registered somebody. Please, people, register your renters, register yourself if you're not registered, if you're taking over a piece of property. It's not something I'm going out looking for, and I don't care to spend the time on. Todd or Lewis and I both don't want to do it. But that's a very important deal to get your information correct. We keep harping on this so we can be safe and contact whoever's in the home, or if someone's notices that nobody's moving or been moving for quite a while, at least we have some information to call their emergency contact. So please, it's for the benefit of the owners and for the park to operate safely. Cody?
Russell, can I just add something to that? Because it kind of goes in line with what you're
Oh, I
saying.
thought you were going to say you weren't registered.
No,
Okay.
no. In order to kind of know when we have situations where people haven't registered,
Mhm.
I went out to the Manatee County Registry of Deeds and looked at, I only did this for 2022, so I wouldn't have caught that one. But I looked at every property in here where there was a change in ownership. And then I looked to see if an application had been completed for that new owner, validating that they're 55 years of age. And then I checked to see whether there was an active fob out on that property. Because if I sold the property to you and I left my fob on the kitchen counter, if you just came in and said, I want to renew 6605 Washington, are we making sure that, because you can't possibly know everybody in here. I do want to say I found 12 properties that changed ownership in 2022. None where there were no applications filed in the office. There's no active fobs out on them, so we don't have to worry about that. But we do need to decide what we're going to do about that. And they're all over the park. Some are on your side, some are on.
I will address that
which
one,
side?
6625 Dakota.
Yeah.
That gentleman moved in. He is living there, so I'll address that one. I have the rest.
I
of the
don't think
list.
he was on my list because he bought so many years ago. Mine's only
No, this
2022.
was on the list.
It was,
Yeah, you
okay,
gave it to me.
okay,
Remember,
okay. I know I gave you some, but
I
okay.
kind of been selfish
All right.
and only checked it on my side.
So I'm recommending that this kind of review be done on a monthly basis because it's easy to do. It's not time consuming to do if it's done on a monthly basis. Just go out and look and see what we had for ownership changes in the prior month. And did we get applications for those individuals to validate their age? And it won't add a lot of work, but it will protect us to make sure
That
people are
sure help
registering.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of us driving around.
Yep.
Looking, sometimes you don't see people there one day and then you see them the next and
You can search that database by
Yes,
change dates.
yes,
I was not aware of that.
yes.
I mean, I used that database, but I did not realize you could search.
I
it.
just limited it to subdivision of trailer estates.
Yeah,
And then you search and you can tell it what month and you can say you want deed changes and it will tell you change of ownerships.
computer whizzes.
wonder how far the deed changes are behind the actual transactions.
They're within a month or so of the
Okay.
actual, so it's a way to validate that
That's a great tool.
that we've been able to secure that they're 55 and that they've,
If you guarantee them on the way in, eventually through attrition, you'll eliminate the whole problem.
Okay,
sorry, I
Anything
interrupted
else?
you. You were done.
thanks, Russell.
No, I lost my train of.
Oh,
No, I'm good. No, that's all. I would like to say one thing. I'm very, I see a lot of people driving their golf carts out in Florida. In my heart, I don't want someone to get hurt. So I'm gonna ask everybody, please quit driving on Florida with your golf cart. If you'll look up the rules and everything, and these are state rules, they're county rules that apply to the golf carts. And Florida's just too unsafe for us, no matter what shape we are in or what shape our golf cart's in, to be out there. They do have the speed limit signs up, which I know they're in the weirdest places. But the county is trying real hard to help us with our streets. And hopefully someday we'll be a golf cart community and we'll get the speed limit down. But right now they're just letting people know how fast they're driving and everything. But Florida is not a main road for our golf carts. And I also would like to say that code enhancement is doing a fine job in our park as far as notifying owners when they're using a non-licensed contractor or when they're doing things that aren't on their permits and everything. So we're not worrying about code enhancement doing their job because they're doing quite a good job. They are looking at all the roofs that have been torn off and they're surveying that are on their own. Also, I have 3 vehicles on the north side that have no registration on their vehicles, and those have been turned over to code enforcement. So be expecting a call from code enforcement if your vehicle's not registered and you're just leaving it out there with no license. And on a better note than that, hope everybody has a good Christmas. I'll be
Great.
nice.
Thank you, Lori.
The projects that I'm working on are gonna be part of, or will be part of today's workshop. So rather than hitting
Okay.
it twice,
Okay. The only thing I want to do is remind everybody that tomorrow is the elections for the 5 candidates for the Board of Trustees. Please get out and vote for the candidate that you think will be the best to assist trailer estates in the future. Good luck to all the candidates that put in for it. I'm not one of them. Okay, let's go to the standing committees. Bridgeburn, there she is.
Well, I'm Barb Sewell, 6608 Dakota. I have to disappoint Lori because I don't have the numbers because our treasurer went out and went on vacation. And if
I
I
think you
tried,
should talk to the chairman about that.
yeah. If I tried to give you the right number, I'd transpose or do something and she not into imperfections in her money, so.
Okay,
That's
so we're
what
just
you
gonna
got
put
there.
not available on the treasurer's report.
Okay.
Okay,
There you
that's fine.
And we're doing wonderful. Everything is getting bigger and bigger every time we have a sale. It's more than last year. And Kathy's keeping us in line and maintenance department is keeping us running. Everything's good.
go. Good.
Well, before you
Uh-huh.
leave the podium, you get red faced today. I always have my head down while I'm taking notes. And then while I'm typing minutes, I'm just typing characters. And then it dawned on me how great the treasure barn is actually doing. And the numbers that you gave at the last meeting. You guys have been in business for about 6 weeks, given the
Yeah.
delay of the start because
Yeah.
of Ian and everything. And your balance being over $7,000 is just absolutely phenomenal. You guys are rocking it. And I want you to hear that from me.
Yeah,
You're
we-
rocking it.
I have some really good volunteers now that have really high energy and they even get out there and do sales. So it's all fun. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
At some point, are we going to be talking about what we'd like to do with some of that money, what projects, when we do the project work? I've got some
Well,
ideas on what I'd like the treasure
I
barn to
figured
do
that'd be part of
of
the
the project.
capital project
Yep.
stuff.
Okay,
That, I figured that's where that discussion would come
Perfect.
up. Does that make sense?
no, I just want to make sure we
Okay.
talk about it because okay.
I'm trying to remember what we decided way back when on how we were going to distribute that money.
We were gonna solicit the treasure barn officers for projects and have them approve our request and
I do remember that.
Okay.
that was our basic general gist. So let's just say heaven forbid, and this isn't covered by insurance, but it would be, the flagpole goes down. That's all of a sudden money we're not expecting. We would go to the treasure barn and say, hey, can you guys help us out? It's gonna be, and they would probably approve that, and then we get a new flagpole. So that's how I saw that going.
I thought maintenance was going to drop some kind of a plan that
Well-
they needed to X amount of dollars. Is that going to be? part
Yeah,
of
that's
this
in the
discussion?
workshop.
Yeah,
That's in the workshop.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, let me jump off into new business then. The first item we
Okay.
have was to approve the revisions to PP 22, and that was Mary.
Yep. I make a motion that we approve revisions to PP 22 dock rental agreement as discussed at our November 7th and November 21st workshop.
Second thought.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, please say nay. Hearing none, the motion is approved. Second item we had was approve the revisions to PP 23.
Yes, I make a motion that we approve revisions to PP 23 storage space lease as discussed at the November 7th and November 21st workshop.
I'll second that one also.
Is there any discussion with that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, please say nay. The motion is approved. And the last item we had then was approve the revisions to PP 24.
Okay, I'm going to read the
Mary.
motion and then I'm going to need to amend it. So
Okay,
approve revisions to PP 24 canoe rack lease as discussed at the November 7th and November 21st workshop.
I'll second it.
I'd like to revise that motion to say approve revisions to PP 24 kayak and canoe rack lease as discussed on the November 7th and November 21st workshop.
Peter Stadden kayak.
Yeah, kayak was missing out of the
Oh.
description.
And I'll second that.
any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the motion as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, please say nay.
And when I-
Motion is,
Pass.
Up.
Approve,
what do you
whatever.
want to say first?
I
before
just,
approve
no,
it?
you can approve it and then I'll just make a comment. Go ahead.
Okay, the motion is approved.
On the November 21st workshop, I had also sent, provided copies of the new invoices with all of the language on it. And because I was trying to watch Yellowstone in the process, I know I made some typos. So those have all been corrected. And if anybody, wants to see the final invoice with all the corrections, I can have it for you. I didn't
Okay.
provide that today.
Good. Okay, could I have the reports from the clubs and organizations, please?
Will you take the Zoom ones now? Oh, I'll wait.
Right, just 6522 Washington Street. President of the Hobby Club, I am pleased to report that we have officially closed our checking account that had the park's tax ID on it and have gotten a tax ID and have established a new checking account at Regions Bank. It has been a long haul to get there, but I think between Mary and I, we have gotten the right procedure in place, especially to set it up with Regions. Regions was very, very helpful in getting things worked out for us. I know there are couple other clubs that are looking at it. The big issue that's coming up is with the tax ID, you have to provide a social security number. And a lot of people don't want to do that. I was told by my attorney that there's no issues with putting your social security number on there. Whether people believe that or not, that's up to them, or do what they want to do with it. Also, our Hobby Club Bazaar last Saturday was phenomenal. We had a full house of vendors. We are allowing outside vendors in, but we have a cutoff date for our resident vendors that if they get signed up before, it's like the 15th of the month or right around that, then we open it up to outside vendors so we don't shut out our own park people. So there's articles in the Tribune that people, if they're interested in being involved in it, they need to check that out and get signed up with Laura Wood for that. Thank you.
Are we following the PP on outside vendors? I need to check that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Rod, I want to get with you to make sure that we're following one of the PPs before we look at outside vendors.
When I do the reservation, I'm doing it for Hobby Club.
Mhm.
How Hobby Club utilizes that is not on my list of
Correct.
watch.
Correct.
Okay.
Let me get with you on that. Do I have any other clubs and organizations, either here in the office? My God.
This is
Uh,
Dottie. This is Dottie on Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Dottie.
Yes, good morning. Dottie Deer Wester, 1804 Ohio Avenue. I'm going to report on two clubs. And the first one is the Computer Club. We will have our first membership meeting on December 14th at 10 o'clock in Marks Hall, followed by our group training session around 10:30 or so. We are already collecting renewal dues and new members for next year. And our meetings will go through April. They're on 732 as well as in the Tribune. We are in the process of transferring our bank account from Iberia to Regions. We've already opened at Regions, just need to wait before we close Iberia. And the second club, Gordon wanted me to report on the Veterans Club. There's an organizational meeting Wednesday, the 7th at 10 o'clock at the Pelican Room in the Activities Building. Even though the Veterans Club has been around for a couple of years, we've never had a formal organizational meeting for membership. So that's going to start this Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Thank you. And we're also transferred that bank as well. We've opened a bank at Regions for the Veterans Club. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do I have any other reports? Hearing none, I'm going to close the reports from the clubs and organizations. And at that time, I am going
There you
to
go,
Like 10:20.
10:25.
26.
Oh, you're good.
I want to
You
adjourn the
kept
meeting
seeing-
at board meeting at 10:26 here in Marks Hall.
Didn't see that till you flashed in the.
Well, he's been hunting, so
I
he
can
can
see
see
it now.
anything.
Does anybody need to take a 5-minute break before we get into this?
That'd be awesome.
Okay, yeah, with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting just for 5 minutes. Please turn off your mics. Okay, good. Suppose I should be there. Okay. Call to order the Board of Trustees workshop for December 5th, 2022 here in Marks Hall at 10:34. Are there any additional items that needed to be added to the workshop?
Yeah.
And I remind the trustees that if it's not an emergency, we don't do that, but
I,
Let's-
I understand
Yeah.
that, but I've got to have my answers so that I can have everything ready by the first of the year. So I need to have my direction at this meeting. So I need to add, a flash drive discussion.
okay. Are there any other items?
I have a basketball goal request. Is that something that we all need to talk about?
Nope.
Okay.
Not here. Okay, hearing no other items to be added, the first item we have is the fish cleaning station repairs. Todd?
Okay. So what I've done is, you can see the first item there basically is a bill, which I haven't paid yet or nothing. I went ahead and since we discussed this, move forward getting a design done. Basically, that's what the other several pages are. And I'm waiting on them to make updates because they put 2 doors in it and the second door would not work very well unless you want to get wet. So that's the only thing that I wanted to change on the design was that, and it's basically the same thing as we had before. But this will be this is a stamped by a professional engineer and all that, and then we can take this right up and get permits and all that. I've also went ahead and asked for a quote for materials on this, which I haven't not received that yet. I'm estimating roughly 3,500 to 4,000 for materials to do it. And the design cost was $500. So I'm just looking for suggestions if any guys see anything else with this.
Can you use these documents for bid documents to get other quotes, or are you committed to having Florida or having?
This is just the design,
I know.
the initial layout.
No construction.
Yes, I've tried to set up an account with 2 other aluminum companies and they're not looking for any more accounts, so they're not going to accept
Okay.
them. These guys are out of Tampa. They will accept us as a customer, basically.
Okay.
The aluminum companies are extremely stressed at this point,
Yep.
and even getting the design done was going to be a challenge, I thought, but these guys here stepped up and said they would do it right away. They were pretty reasonable, I thought.
I'm sorry, I haven't had time to look at the specs and stuff. Is there a way to support this so we don't have another just a big wind come through?
Correct. That's the first page of this design are the wind loads on it. And it is designed for, I want to say 140 mile an hour wind load.
Good.
So, I really think the only reason we lost it with the other design was the fact that the decking below it did not support it. And, I've done a couple other things with the design. The last page was my drawing that I did that I sent them to design this from. So I modeled this up and sent that to them and specified how it mounts and all that. And they were fine with my stuff. They said it will support the 140 mile an hour wind load.
Good, good.
So
That was
the
the only
next
question I had.
next step is to make sure everybody's all right with all of this and to move forward. I can move it to the board meeting. Then I would go get permits and all of that.
So 500 for the design, between 3,500 and 4,000 for materials.
And
How
then
about labor
it
and
would be park guys' labor and to put it together, because I can't get aluminum company that'll come out and put it together. I mean, everybody is over a year out. And it's pretty easy to put together. I think if we surround and drown, basically, we can get her done in a matter of a week.
surround and drown?
Yeah, get everybody on it and do it in over a couple days here, and a couple days there. We can get it done probably within about a week's time. I'll be down there to help them also.
Well, I hate to lose part of that 15,000.
Well, I mean, so you really, it'll be another year before we can get,
If I have to
That's
have an
crazy.
aluminum company come out and do it, everybody that is, matter of fact, most of them aren't even returning my calls. And the several, there's been 3 that I've talked to, all of them are over a year out. On doing aluminum structures like this. They're already booked up that far.
Are there any considerations for insurability for our guys to assemble it if they're, because they're not licensed aluminum suppliers? I mean, I would assume if it's built to the drawings,
I
it's
said
built to
there-
the drawings.
Yeah, say if we build it to the engineering specs, which is, it's gonna have to be inspected and all that, just with Manatee County. As long as it's built to these specs, there shouldn't be. I mean, we can have Mary check that or whatever, but
I
there-
think I'd like to do that. I'd like to,
That's fine.
approach our current insurance company and ask them if we were to use our own staff to do this, what how would that affect the coverage, if in any way?
I mean, as long as we build it to the specs, I can't imagine that it would, do that. And it's gonna have to be inspected through Manatee County. They're gonna come out and I know from my past experiences with the inspections I've had with them, they look at every nail and everything. I mean, they really go over with a
You have to
fine tooth
you have to
comb.
like supply like bolts or torque to a certain.
Everything,
all that
yes,
stuff.
all of that is, all that in it. The size of bolts, the amount of them, the quantity, where they're
Grade.
placed, all of that is
Yeah.
all in
Okay.
this all in the details of this document.
How
Okay.
much is the permit fee?
I haven't got that yet. It shouldn't be more than a couple $100, but
Okay.
I was told, I don't know how true this is. I'll find out when I go up, try to get the permit. But storm damage stuff, they were foregoing the permits, but the fee. I
The fee
found,
for the permit, you still have to have the permit.
yes, you still have to have the permit, but the fee of it is nothing.
So if I'm required to justify that we've done the repairs and I've spent the 12,000 that we got for the fish house, then we're gonna need to keep track of how many
Yes, we'll keep
people,
track
how
of
many
all labor
hours,
hours.
all the labor hours.
And the
Okay.
other, the other thing that I would include in that would be the repairing of the deck on
Yep.
top of that.
Yeah.
And that'll get us up to probably, I'm gonna guess somewhere around 10 to 11,000 would be my guess.
Is the deck part of this drawing? It is, I didn't.
Yes.
It is?
Mhm. There's a note in there that talks about how it mounts to the decking,
And what it mounts with.
right?
And then are we replacing the damaged 12x12?
Yes, the
underneath?
beams, all the beams underneath the decking, the
That
deck
can be
boards.
included in with
Yep.
the insurance?
Yes, all of that will be replaced and we'll put all of that towards the insurance, all those costs,
So the 3,500 to 4,000 is the cost of the aluminum.
just the aluminum material.
That's the
correct.
aluminum.
Yep.
Do
I
we
like
have
it.
any idea what the wood's gonna cost?
We've already bought that, but I can,
Okay,
I
so
can,
no
I
worries.
can break that out if
Yeah.
we need to, and I
No.
will have to whenever.
Yeah,
we
you'll
get
have
time
to. You'll have
I
to.
can break that out,
Okay.
yes.
Is there any
That's what I
special
was gonna say.
tools or equipment you have to buy to do this work?
The boat were donated
Cook's Night Out.
by Cook's Night Out, which, we'll have to buy some oars for that.
I just wondered if there was. if there
Life
was any
jackets for the guys. when they're in
Gears
it.
or brakes or any of that stuff that you have to buy to do the work.
There's nothing
all-
special to put one of
okay.
these together, really. Basic tools can do it.
You might keep that door in there on the other side so you could unload your boat with all your fish when you come in. And then you can go park their boat.
Actually, what a lot of people do is they pull up to the end of the dock and offload everything right there, right in the door and out. So, yeah, I don't want a second door there. Somebody will step out it.
Well, we're gonna use the stainless steel tables and everything else that we took out.
Correct. The one table is pretty much no good, so I will need to buy another table to replace that, which would be another item for that.
And that would block off that door anyway. If
I don't want the door in there, period.
Yeah.
So. Then the bench was trash, so I mean, we could, buy another bench in there to
Yeah, you've got,
utilize some of this, but.
Yep.
And,
Go
well, I
ahead.
said the other part of this that really isn't part of this, but. This is gonna take us a little while to get this done.
Mhm.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to set up the old fish clean table we had somewhere because there's no place to clean fish down there right now. So I didn't know if the board minded, but I was gonna set it up on the concrete over on the other side. And just
Concrete on you.
over by the marina building. on that concrete pad up there, just get that table out there and get it set up. That way people, there's not gonna be any shelter for it or nothing. It's just gonna kind of be sitting there. And the scraps of the fish will probably go in a bucket off over the side there rather than down the tubes.
Mhm.
But as long as the board didn't have any problem with that, we'll work that in somewhere here next couple of weeks. Done.
That's right where that 33 or 30-foot boat's sitting.
Yes,
Yeah,
which that's a whole
north
nother
end.
issue that I have to talk with
Okay.
them because those boats are all supposed to be out of there as of December 1st and they're not. So I will probably tomorrow be down there talking to Chuck at the marina about that.
Okay.
But you've rented some of those spots out, right?
One person
One.
that was over there, I have rented her a slip and she should be, I'm not exactly sure why she hasn't moved into it yet. I think she's having trouble finding her registration for her boat to get to the office. So I don't think she's been to the office yet to take care of that. I've had another guy contact me about wanting a slip over there. And it's another thing I was going to add on, but I haven't talked to the guy yet too, is about how we want to deal with those slips. I'm not really prepared to do that yet. But I'll have that for the next meeting. I'll get that on for the next workshop.
I'd like it.
It should be pretty nice. I mean, the other one there was, I don't know how old it was, 20 years old, something like that. It was definitely showing its age, but it was still functional. But this in here should be pretty nice. It's very similar to what we had before. Couple little upgrades to it to make it a little bit stronger.
And you think we're going to be able to fit that in with everything else we've got going on? Or,
Yeah, like I said, I don't
many-
think this is gonna be, I don't think this is gonna be more than, maybe a total week worth of time. But if we spread that out over a couple, 3 weeks, getting her done, it shouldn't hurt too bad. The guys are working on the electric down there now, getting the electric run and water lines and that kind of stuff, so we'll fit her in. And this is a good time because there's not so much mowing for, projects like this.
Yeah.
My intent is to hopefully utilize the maintenance guys more and more for this kind of stuff, without hindering our normal day-to-day stuff, save the park some more money.
Okay, any other discussion? We look forward to having that for the next meeting.
All right, so I'll move this to the board meeting next time for a final vote, and then I'll proceed with getting things done. If it passes.
Okay, the second item we have is the recurring old maintenance building use. Todd?
Okay, I started to talk about this last time, kind of out of place, but confused everybody. My apologies. So the first thing I wanted to ask was, if the other members of the board have come up with any other possible uses for it.
I have.
The old maintenance building?
The old maintenance building, yes.
Is it air conditioned?
No.
How difficult would it be to get air conditioning?
There is no insulation on it at all, so it would have to be insulated and sealed a little bit and added air conditioner. Have to sort it out. It could be done, yes.
I can't in my head visualize the space empty and open, like we were talking about putting sheds in.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm seeing it in the pieces that it is. Could it be a permanent card room, for lack of a, does help with the setup, takedown, setup, takedown, setup, takedown, setup, takedown for the constantly recurring card games?
Yes.
Yes.
That is a very good possibility. I laid out the storage area in there, and I did a couple different plans, but for some reason I printed out the same one twice. So I've just got two different views of the same one, but storage areas is one option. I mean, you could gut the entire place and turn it into another small hall. I mean, it was suggested to me pickleball courts in there, and it's not big enough for pickleball courts. I don't remember the size, but they won't fit. You could get two in there end to end, then you're shooting balls at each other. So I don't think that's going to work.
It would be as big as the small hall, as big as Mark's Hall right now ish.
It is
40 by 60. That's the-
30 by 60, right, Bill? 30 by 60? Right. It's not as big as a small home.
The size of the pool.
And pickleball courts are 20 by 20 by 40. So you can't turn them. And I mean, because I thought
Right.
at first we were gonna be able to get 3 in there, but it wouldn't fit. So it's not gonna work for pickleball. Yeah,
But
the
it-
ceiling height.
I don't know if we're gaining anything for the maintenance staff time if we were to make it a perpetual card room type thing. I don't know how much we're saving from maintenance having to shut down, tear down, set up, tear down, set up.
Right. Well,
stuff
that's another item that,
versus renting them and making income.
right. Well, when we were going to discuss the capital outlay, that's another item that I was going to bring up. Wasn't necessarily in there, but in another area that we've got here was to bring up a permanent, I called it gathering area where we'd have a permanent setup for cards. Or not necessarily permanent, but an easy where the card people themselves could grab tables and set them up and go. So that's another option that I've got on my list of things to bring up. So yes, but that is another possibility for that building, but I didn't know if anybody else come up with
I
anything
have
else,
another
so-
idea too.
Okay.
Outside the large hall, there's 2 sheds. One of them has a pottery,
Mhm.
a kiln in it, a pottery wheel in it.
Mhm.
And that room next to the stage is being used for the pottery. And there's also a kiln in a shed over by the maintenance building, I believe.
Okay, I didn't know about that
Or
one.
one over near there somewhere. So I was wondering if we could take the space that's currently now their break room office, that very small space. Do something to make a space there for those clubs, get all of that stuff out of here. And then renovate the room next to the stage to be used for another purpose. It is the place where our entertainers gather before and during breaks, and it would be nice to have that room be a little bit nicer and, I think it could really use an upgrade. So if we could move them out there, maybe we could do something with that room so it could be used for something better than what it's being used for now.
Yep.
And everything would be centralized with all the kilns and pottery wheels. That was one other thought, just to kind of,
Well, what I kind of wanted to do with this one, but yeah, I agree. That's
Okay.
another good option. Because that building would be very easy to section off. It's already kind of sectioned off.
Yeah.
And use part of it. I mean, and again, another thing, whenever we're going to talk about capital outlay on how I would want to rearrange a few things that we've got here.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one area I was going to consider.
okay,
The square club room is
Okay.
another area that
Yeah.
I would like to, move around different places. But I'd also like to entertain from residents to talk to the board members and let us know your thoughts on things. I mean, maybe they have opinions that we're not seeing. So if you guys got other things that you'd like to see, let us know. I mean,
I did have some residents, talk to me about, if we could find a way to do something with golf cart storage. There is such a large number of residents here that typically bought their golf cart down to the store shopping center right down here. Now that's no longer available to them as an option.
yeah. The only
And they're
problem I
just
have.
wondering what they're going to do with them in the meantime.
Well, the only problem I have with golf cart storage is it's going to require somebody to look after them and keep them maintained. And that's where I start to have a problem with it because I don't want to be responsible for somebody else's golf cart.
What maintenance would we do? Would we
You have to
just
keep batteries
basically
charged.
You have
storage?
the batteries, the electricity running to the batteries, then.
They have to be moved around so their tires don't go flat. Or
Uh,
don't go.
Okay.
Get a
I
flat spot.
Okay,
I
Okay.
just read somewhere that Chuck
Yeah.
has just moved down the street here on
He's- yeah.
41. So I'd like to go up and talk to him to see if he can maintain that before we
Okay.
entertain that.
okay.
But I don't know where to bring this up as an idea yet. Our washing machines in the laundry area. If that contract really does get terminated, we had discussed moving or buying 4 washing machines and 4
Right.
dryers and putting them into another area. Wouldn't that make a great place for the cards and?
That's part of what, part of my
So, I
layout
don't know
that
if
I've
I
got.
should bring it up here or bring it up in the capital outlay.
Yep,
So
that's,
It's very
it kind of all
possible. The-
goes
The
together.
only caveat to that is that the door going in, the jump is too high. You've got to put some sort of a ramp.
there's a whole, I've got a whole
The
thing.
threshold,
I've already
yeah.
done a whole layout on it that, it's just a real basic layout of what we could do with that area. But, it's just, again, I'm looking for more board support and input before I invest a lot of time in it. And that was part of me bringing up with Mary to look at this capital outlay.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate. It's gonna cost us money to make money.
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
What's the typical size of a card gathering? I mean, what's the biggest gathering for cards you typically get? How many
Well,
tables?
Pre-COVID,
Yeah.
okay, we had 11 tables of 4, so that'd be
Oh,
44.
really? It's bigger than I thought.
Okay,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that was Pinnacle. Now COVID has stopped that. I think our biggest gathering this year has been 6 tables. So that'd be 24.
Okay.
But we anticipate that as people are more comfortable coming back out in public, that number will continue to grow.
So any kind of a card, permanent card area, it needs to
Mhm.
accommodate a dozen tables or so. Sounds like
At
to be
least.
practical.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Will all dozen get used every time? No.
Yeah.
But all right, right now, we share this hall. We put one kind of cards at this end.
Mhm.
We do a different kind of cards at that end.
Mhm.
And so between the two, we maybe have 10 or 11 tables set up. So we might use all 12 of those tables splitting
Yeah.
2 different card games.
Mhm.
We would just have them closer together, which still isn't a problem.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying,
I just was curious if the maximum was 4 or 20, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. No, I think our big numbers were 11.
Okay.
I think I've got what we call dance cards, tells us what table to go to and who our partner is,
Mhm.
calculated for up to 16 tables.
And how many types of card games are played?
There's euchre, there's bid euchre, there's pinochle, there's hand and foot. There's
bunch.
poker, there's poker games, there's a joker rummy. There's quite a few card, and that's just off the top of my head. That's, there was some group that never announced what their card game was, but they were signed up to use the poker room for cards at a certain block of time, and and they just said cards. So I don't know what kind of cards they're playing.
That would help with scheduling and everything for a benefit.
Well, it would help, might not help with scheduling, but it would help with this setup, tear down, setup, tear down. That's
Yes.
occurring every day, because when we're all done with the hall here, this is Monday, it'll get set up for euchre at that end and bid euchre at this end. And so that's something that they have to get in here and whoop up before they leave at
Mhm.
3:00.
That'll be next time, not this time, right? Because tomorrow we have elections.
Tomorrow we have elections, and that's
Normal.
different, but today, Monday, there's no reason why anything has to be out of the ordinary. So Monday, we're
Right.
whooping and setting up. Now Tuesday, things are canceled because of the election. And then Wednesday, we'll be back to tear down, set up, tear down, set up, tear down, set up,
Okay.
however the schedule goes, and I have no clue how maintenance keeps up with my poor
So
calendar.
do all those other people have the same kind of setup as what you're talking about? 11 tables and 12?
I haven't played hand and foot, so I don't know what their setup is. I believe they play at a long table like this. They're
Okay.
over in the activity center. But most of the other card games use the card tables. Poker might use that big octagon table that's in the poker room. I don't attend all of these games. I just schedule them.
Okay.
So I'm not positive.
So when we talk about setting the tables up and leaving them, I mean, how, you have to take them down to sweep and stuff, don't you, anyway? I mean, aren't they gonna get set up and taken down even if it has a dedicated room? Or do
Yeah,
you
but not
sweep it every,
not
Yeah,
daily
But
probably,
not
so.
only 2
Okay.
or 3 times a day.
so you sweep it
Yeah.
every 3 days or 4 days or whatever?
And then I have a different
Oh,
person
Miss Cribbage.
that's doing the cleaning instead.
Okay, all right.
I see a lot of things going here, Todd,
Well-
and it's gonna be dumped on you.
Well,
Like,
that's
how much
fine,
time
but-
are you going to need to develop something for the old maintenance building? Possibly setting up the cards and then also the laundromat area.
Well, what I was gonna recommend for this meeting here basically is we're just throwing out some ideas right now. So let's get some more ideas.
Mhm.
And so what I'd like is every resident, talk to the board members. And then the board members all bring back some ideas for the next one. And then I'll proceed forward as far as what's feasible and what's not. And then, let the board make the final decision as to what we can do and what we can't.
I would almost prefer that they email you direct instead of coming to all 9 board members.
And that's fine. I'm fine with that too.
Discuss it with you because it's coming up for a vote.
Well, that's what I say. Then we would discuss it at the next workshop.
Yeah.
So I mean, this one today was more just to get it on the table is, what kind of things we're looking for and try to get people with ideas.
So are we throwing out storage of the golf carts?
No, not at all.
Okay,
It's still, everything's on the table at this point.
okay.
I mean, I'm not for that one, but doesn't mean that the other 8 people aren't. And if that's what comes up, that's the way it comes up. We'll deal with it.
Okay, any other discussion? So when do you want to bring this back?
I'll bring it back to the next board
Next
meeting
board, okay.
or
Next
excuse me,
workshop.
next
Next
workshop. I'm
workshop.
sorry.
All right, the next item we have then is the rental of the recreational hall space. Mary?
So we're still in discussion phase on this. So I wanted to keep it in front so we can decide what we want to do. I've created a rental agreement that we could use to use when people want to reserve the space. And then I've created some samples of what it would cost for us, what we would charge to use the space for various reasons. Now, I went out and looked at typical costs that people are charging when they're renting spaces. I looked at what it would cost to rent some of these items and with a little bit of a profit. So this is just my stab at what we would charge and what the income potential might be for this. And what I provided was 2 sample documents. Now, one document would be for a big event, like a wedding reception. And if we were to do a wedding reception, what would that entail and what would our profit be if we use this space? And I'm only talking about the small hall. If we decide to move forward with this, I think we should start out with just this space and see how it works and see if it's something we want to expand into any of our other facilities. But so this was if we would have a small wedding in here, what would it look like? And so it would be about $1,295 would be the cost if you were going to do tables, tablecloths, because this is a wedding, napkins, you use our sound system, you rent the hall. If we were to do all of that for a nice wedding reception.
Who's
I have
calling?
no idea whose
Who's
phone's
calling?
going. Okay. So that would be like one extreme. And then the other, kind of the other end of the option would be if somebody just wanted to rent it for a baby shower, or it could be a much lower key kind of thing, or a meeting, just a business meeting. Probably we would only make about $425 on that. So when you think about the use of the hall, the fact that we're going to have to pay somebody to do setup and takedown, which is all part of this, but it's just more setup, takedown. Make sure this is, we want to really move forward with this.
We've checked with our insurance and there's liability
There's-
covers us for all this.
There's
and
waivers that they would sign
Yep.
because these are going to be outside people that are.
I seen that in
coming
there, the waivers, but I didn't know.
Yep.
And these don't include the kitchen.
This is no kitchen, no
No
kitchen. This would mean they would have to bring in their own caterer. So
This little kitchen back here.
No.
Okay.
no, I'm not recommending we start out with that. Like I said, I want to start out small, simple,
Mhm.
and then see if how it's working. So,
But if they bring in a heater thing to heat their food up or whatever, and it catches the hall on fire, we covered, I mean, that's. the stuff
I believe, there's a security deposit, there's,
Yeah, 250.
$250 and we can, we can get protections it says there is a liability for physical damages, legal actions, or
Yeah.
loss of reputation or business opportunities that the owner may incur as a consequence of actions of a renter. They have to sign this, that they're responsible for that.
In your world, Mary, I'm just trying to That wasn't a nice way of saying that. In this scenario, okay?
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking at this rental agreement. Let me step back a half a step and hierarchically tell me how this would flow. George Jones wants to come here, not, let's pick a different name. Joe Smith wants
Yep.
to come here and use the hall for a wedding reception. And he approaches who, and then how does it progress from there?
That's another thing we need to talk about. This is bigger than a bread box here. This is
Yeah.
why we really need to make sure that this is something we want to go into. And that's why I wanted to provide, based on these costs, which are what the industry charges. If we had the big scale thing, when we consider we're going to have somebody responsible for coordinating this, somebody we're going to have to advertise this on a site where people go when they're looking for places to rent for any purpose, whether it be a wedding reception or just a business meeting. Somebody's going to have to be responsible for being the contact person, for meeting with them, for doing the contracts, for being here the day of the event to make sure they have access to the building, for making sure the building is returned the way it was found. There's a lot involved. And if we're going to hire somebody to do that, then that is going to make it even more expensive. And are we going to end up, is people going to be willing to pay it? I mean, there are, some of these fees are getting up there.
It looks cheap to me.
That seems cheap to you?
Yeah,
For the
Okay.
hall, the tables, the chairs, the linens, all set up. All you gotta do is show up. It seems
Yeah.
cheap.
I agree.
And then, the $125 an hour for the use of the hall, that's over and above that. If you want our
Yeah.
sound system, it's another $125. Well, we can certainly look at the costs I have here. Absolutely. But there's more than just, what are we going to charge? It's,
Yes, I know. But
okay.
but-
And then we're looking at, the availability of this room today. And it's kind of, we need to decide, do we want Saturdays for the most part are open, but we've also got a lot going on over there. And how often do we want things going on both sides? Friday nights, I think, I have a calendar here where I looked at the availability. Now, of course, in the off season, it's available a lot, but
Except
during
for-
season,
Except for churches in here.
Another,
Right,
on
another
Sundays.
dilemma with it is the fact that right now, the way that my calendar works, I have reserved the hall until April 30th. I don't open up reservations beyond April 30th of 23 until usually the second or third week in January after I get everybody's reservation requests back that are trustees.
Yeah.
Because yours takes precedent over anybody else's.
Right.
And so then let's just rock with worst case scenario, fourth week of January, I'm accepting reservations that go beyond April. Well, if I'm doing a wedding, I generally know that my wedding
Yeah.
is beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And are we going to schedule a wedding and possibly cancel a trustee or a
See,
resident thing, so the calendar, the way my calendar currently works doesn't support this well.
I think
Just
this was
saying.
something that we wanted
Yeah.
to look at
Right.
because it's
No,
a possible income generator.
Right.
But I think this is just my personal opinion with all the work I've been doing. The places that do this are places that have halls that are only being used for that
Yeah.
purpose.
Mhm.
Whereas our facilities are being used a lot for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
And the logistics of trying to find those opportunities here and there when we might be able to have a function in here is going to be more nightmare than what we're going to end up getting for possible income.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of research it because until you dig into the nitty gritty and you put all this together, you don't really know. But when I started looking at it, I wasn't sure that there was enough of a payoff for us because these buildings are used every day by for so many purposes that to carve out a section for this, it didn't make sense to me, but I wanted to just kind of bring it here and see if we want to just let this one go Or do we want to continue to move forward and consider it?
I'm in support of letting it go.
I spent a lot of times on this, but that's where I came out in the end, was I didn't think it made sense for us.
This, after we talk about capital outlay and if things get rearranged, maybe it's something to bring up at a later date.
Mhm.
But right now, I
If-
think
if we-
it's
if
gonna
we
be more of a
alleviate the
nightmare.
pressure, if we alleviate the pressure
Yep.
on these rooms with some other
Space.
capital outlay projects,
Yep.
then possibly bring it up again and relook at it.
Okay.
Yep.
Everybody? Okay, then I'm not gonna bring this back again, but we're gonna kind of hold all the work that was done in the research and
I would
maybe,
get rid of it, yeah.
maybe
right,
we can revisit it at a later date.
right.
All right, super.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mary, I just have one possible suggestion. Since summertime, this room is open a lot minus church.
Right.
I think the only time when we're gonna be in here is that we do exercise classes a few mornings a week. But could it be that we look at it possibly for summer of 2023? Just to see what's there. A lot of weddings happen in the summer. Or meetings.
Yep.
And to see if it's even possible, because this room is available a lot.
We could think
And
about
I don't
that.
know if that's even a possibility the board wants to entertain, but summer would be the best time to dip our toes into it, since this room is not used.
Yep.
I don't know how that would go about scheduling. I have no idea. Just a suggestion.
If we're dipping our toes in, it would be my recommendation that we not provide linens and napkin rings, for a formal setting. The hall is here, the tables are here, the chairs are here.
That's it.
You want to decorate it, you want tablecloths, no tape decorations on the wall.
Yep.
Just keep it
That
simple.
sort of something. We could definitely, look into that. And
don't
then
see
if that's how we're gonna progress and we're thinking maybe in the summer, then I'd like to go back to the facility event space rental agreement and go through some ticks that I picked up on.
Well,
It's up to the
I
board.
hate to say this. I don't think we are even prepared to do anything this summer. We have to advertise it, make sure that all these prices are in place to set up. I can see this just being tabled till 2023 summer, but not this summer.
This
Did I
summer
say
is
there would be
2021.
2024 summer?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
You've got to advertise it. I just don't see.
I
what
think
we're
there's
gonna be
just
prepared for
A
this summer.
lot more to this than I think I've done a lot, but I think there's a lot I still don't know. So to do it right, I would want to meet with some people who do this and learn best practices from them. So there's more of an investment in going down this road. And with everything else we've got going on, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to do it at some point, but I don't think now is the time.
But I do
Agreed.
think you've done a lot of work on this thing.
Yes.
It was an option to consider, but this is how we put them on the table and then we determine we're going to go forward or not.
Right.
Not a problem
Okay, so we're gonna all agree to bring this back at a future meeting.
at some point.
Once-
when it's
once we
ready,
go
when
through
time is
the-
ready.
Maybe once we do the capital outlay, which is the next
Next
item on
one.
the list.
Next one. Yep, so we made the decision a couple of meetings ago that we were going to start over with our project. It's not really, we call it a capital outlay budget, but it's really a project plan for what we want to do. So we were going to start over. So people were supposed to come back with what they see for projects that we'd like to do. And then we'll see what we've got for money between what was in the budget and what we've gotten for insurance money, if some of these things are going to be addressing some of those repairs that need to be done. And then we also have the treasure barn, which if there's a project on that list that we would like to consider asking them to fund, we can do that as well. So there's a lot with this discussion. This ought to be a fun one.
I
So,
have to apologize. I left my list on the desk.
Well, I have what we originally
get
had, but
cheap.
I don't want to, I want to start over. I don't want to. Because a lot of these things. Okay.
Well, what was the capital outlay budget that was approved? for 2023?
Oh, the one, I should have that one number, and I have the projects that weren't done that carried over and the projects that we funded. So
Because I
this
don't
is
want
everything.
I don't want to start adding stuff that's going to exceed what we've already approved in the
We have the
2023
budget that was approved, and then we have some carryover money from prior years for projects that hadn't been completed yet, but were approved in prior years. So that whole thing, I had adding up to 92,000, but, oh, you've got the budget, yay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't prepared, you were.
No, I'm not prepared. I had it.
Oh,
He's always counting.
$67,200 was what we put in the 22-23 budget.
But the points I wanted to make
Some of these items
are not
right,
adequate.
right.
I've got the pool deck addition at 30,000 on there.
Yep.
Well, 30,000 would not even cover the tiki bar.
Okay.
And that was a quote from, I guess it's been right after I got in, so it would have been 6-7 months ago. And now, and prices have even gone up even more. That wouldn't cover just the tiki itself. You know, there may be other ways to get it done in there, but with what I was given to work on, you would have to pretty much double that, if not more, to get that project done.
So we always have to have money in there for air conditioning repairs, because there
Correct.
seems to always be one or two that
Correct.
go in the
And-
course of time.
Spa heater, we just ordered one of
Yep.
those and it is less than that. but
Yep, I know we.
We
Bill
have
got
to
us
get
a
it
deal on
installed
that.
yet too, so I don't have
Um,
that bill.
The shuffleboard court maintenance, that's a standing item that we've agreed to put in there. So that kind of money is spoken for. The air conditioning replacement, we've been spending a lot of that. There was a lot of carryover
Yeah.
money from prior years,
Mhm.
and then whew, a bunch of them went at once. So we spent a lot of that, and we've just replaced another one, I think. I think I saw. Was there another one, an air conditioner?
Well, we have one that's, I don't know how in the hell it's lasted this long. That's one over the stage.
Yeah.
Yes, that one
Okay.
there has definitely been a problem, but it's working.
Okay,
So
okay. But we have
And that's-
to be prepared for it to
that's
go.
the-
'cause it's
probably,
to go.
that one and the one in the kitchen are
It's
probably gonna be
dying.
the next ones to go.
It's dying.
Is it really?
Yeah.
'Cause When I was calling bingo up there, it worked great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It comes on good
so,
and then dies.
We've talked a lot about cameras and security cameras or
I think I'm done with cameras
You
for
think you're
now.
done?
I mean, we're fairly well covered. There's still a few areas I'd love to get covered, but I
okay.
think we're fine with cameras for now.
Okay. So the decking in the marina, the fish house, we've got covered
Yep,
with
that's all covered and
insurance money,
that's
so we don't
rolling.
need to do anything with that. Okay, so it was the pool deck and renovating of the large hall to give that a facelift. We were gonna do, that was in here,
Mhm.
paint the large
That was
hall.
paint the large hall,
Paint the
which
large hall.
the 7,000 will barely
Yep.
cover paint now
Okay.
with the price
Um,
increase.
And then we've got all the other things that we mentioned earlier. What do we want to do about the maintenance building? What do we want to do about the laundry and all that stuff that wasn't on here? So,
Well, if I'm listening to Todd, then what we might consider is the pool deck addition, which is at 30,000, is just eliminating that for this year and come in with the 2024 capital outlay.
That's kind of what I was hoping for from this meeting was
Yep.
to get me someplace to focus my efforts and get some realistic numbers of what it's going to take to get it done.
so your
Um,
projects for 2023 is going to be the decking in the fish house. That's going
Right.
to be main one.
Yep.
Repairing the roof.
Right, we've got the shuffleboard roof to repair, we've got this roof to repair. I mean, a lot of that stuff, so.
How do we
So-
develop a scope for these projects? I mean, how do we develop a scope? So we say pool deck and tiki bar, but how do you decide what to go look for? I mean, is the tiki bar gonna have a grill, a refrigerator, a big screen TV, or how does all that get decided? How does it get developed?
Well,
No,
that's kind of the
when-
same question I'm
when-
asking.
When
That's what we-
when I first put this on, when I was maintenance, Bill and I worked together to put the wood decking on the south end of the pool. It was nothing more than just decking, plastic chairs and umbrellas, just so they could eat their
Right.
lunches there and get away
Mhm.
from all this food fights that we've had up there.
Yeah.
At that time, a year ago, the material was only 30,000. It was going to be based on maintenance staff installing that.
Mhm.
Basic anything. I think the umbrellas were only like 30, 40 bucks a piece for the
Mhm.
bamboo type. So it was a minimal. And that's how it was decided. As it's the same as Todd. Todd is going to work with Bill saying, okay, the roof on the large hall needs to be replaced. So that's going to be $1 million, whatever the fee is. And that's how it gets added to the
Okay.
capital outlay.
Once a project got started, I would bring it back, and say, will you guys like this or not?
Okay.
And give me yays and nays on things.
Yep. Yeah, my
So-
question is
Make
only
adjustments.
procedural. It's just how do we do it? Because in a sane world, three of us could go look at it and go, well, what makes sense and what doesn't? And we can't do that.
We
you know?
Right.
can't.
Well,
Yeah.
and then again, Bill and I had sat down and tried to develop a 5-year contract or 5-year
Mhm.
capital outlay in case, because we know the age of the building
Mhm.
is eventually going to need
Mhm.
some repair, and it's difficult.
We've done it.
Or outdoor.
Don't get me started. Yes, there is.
Yes.
Yes,
But
there
the-
is.
Capital outlay.
Well,
Oh,
if,
yeah.
Not with now money
if-
or next
No,
year budget?
that next
if
year's
we
budget.
were
Next year
to,
budget.
just totally tear down the old maintenance building, just remove it, could we put outdoor pickleball courts there?
Yes, you could.
Would there be
I'm
enough
sorry.
space there?
Yes.
I mean, because we're,
I'm
as
not
far
sure
as,
it'd be the best place for it, but
Okay.
yes, you probably could.
I mean, it's just real central and.
Yeah, the question would be, and I don't know, but does the dumpsters on one side, the wood shop on this side, and the activity center create a tunnel of air that would impact the play?
Oh, I have no idea.
So there, I don't know the answer to that.
Well, what I had envisioned on the previous discussions about that, it was going to be covered, a shade
Mhm.
cover.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
And it was also going to be screened, fenced with a wind screen
blocks?
on it.
So
to
just take the
to
fish house
prevent that.
design and make it bigger.
The
Just make it
type-
much bigger. So it's got a roof and it's got a screen around it. You got the design.
So the 10 property isn't a viable location?
The problem with the 10 property is to do anything back there, you have to widen the road. And then when you widen the road, you got to apply a sewer and water and electric back there before we
Gotcha.
can utilize anything. Because you have to go get
Gotcha.
fire trucks in there and all that.
Right.
Then you have to have facilities back there. I mean, you couldn't put more porta potties in or something, but
Right.
it's one of those things where I think that needs to be a whole project on its own.
That's fine. I just had to ask.
Yep.
There'll be others.
So I guess what I was asking for Mary was to, what do you want me to focus my efforts on this?
Well-
There's $67,000 here.
Well, right
basically.
now, we've only probably accounted for 25,000 because we're only going to keep the air conditioners and the shuffle, the regular maintenance. Everything else is the decking and the fish house is going to be covered by insurance. The office, the roof is all covered by insurance, the shuffleboard, roof repair.
Right.
That's all covered by insurance. So we're not spending any of that budget on any of these. So then my question for you is with these 3 projects that we've got to do because of the damage from Ian, how much more can we reasonably take on?
Well, in the time it's going to take to lay out other projects, this other stuff should be done.
Okay, so we
I'm
can take
guessing-
on more projects and now we need to decide what they should be.
I'm sorry, when you say other projects should be done,
The current projects that we're working on, the fish
Mhm.
house, there's a big list. We got to finish painting the firehouse or new
Mhm.
maintenance shop, whatever we want to start calling it. But with the projects we've got now, I've got the guys out probably, I'm guessing past season for sure. With their work. But it's going to take that long to get everybody on the same page, get these developed as to what they're going to take to do. And whatever projects you want to get going. And
Well,
then
I see where Mary's going with this. I guess I'm going just the opposite. If we're not going to do the pool deck, the auto flush toilets and paint the large hall and the,
Entrance to the.
where's
10
the
property.
entrance,
Right there.
the
Entrance to the 10 property.
entrance to the
Yeah.
10 property, and we're having the insurance pay for the fish house, the decking and all that stuff.
Yep.
Then let's
I
don't
can't
spend
resist.
any more money. If we don't have an emergency project, can we just?
I'm not saying
the
spend any
money
more money. I'm
and
saying
put it
let's
back
start,
into the account.
and that's fine. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is,
Going the opposite way.
No,
Are
no,
we
no.
saying the same thing?
I was saying, is it reasonable to think we can do anything more this year?
I don't-
Or should we,
Well, that's what
hold
I'm
that
saying.
money till next year and now start planning on what those are going to be
That's
next
what
year?
that's what I'm,
Okay.
I'm looking for
Okay, we're
planning
saying
for
the
the,
same
for the
things.
next, the
Okay.
next year is what I'm
Okay.
looking for.
All right.
I mean, it's gonna take this long, I mean, to get something through. Since the only place we can talk about this stuff is right here every 2
So-
weeks.
So
or not
I,
every
Now, are we
first and
going
third.
to carry that
Yes.
balance over or are we
Yes.
going to put it back into the fund?
well, it goes, I think we need to, put it back into the fund and re-justify everything for 23, 24. And some of the things that probably
Well,
should be
one
on
other-
there.
One other thing before we go much further, because
Okay,
if we are gonna do something with the maintenance shop, it might be, you might need some of this money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna take and do something with the laundromat, you know, and make that a room, you know, you may need some of this money
Just
to
to
do
do
some of that,
design,
to get
planning
some
and
of this
stuff.
stuff
Okay,
done.
okay.
And that's why I'm saying not just necessarily throw it back in the general fund, but I mean, if
Keep
it
it
can
on
re,
capital outlay.
yeah,
Well,
if it can be reallocated or what.
Spending
but-
a couple $100 here and there to get designs done while we're trying to make the right decision is
Yes.
fine.
Right.
But I think, we should identify the possible things we want to do in the 23, 24 budget.
Right.
Get Todd working on those. We'll be starting the budget process before we know it. It's going to be mid-January. I'm going to start be
Yeah.
talking about it. So,
If I'm still in this
Yeah.
position.
you're good. And me too. I mean,
I don't hear your microphone.
But what I,
Move your microphone up.
there we go.
did I turned it on, I'm green. I don't know.
Yep, I can
All
hear
right,
you.
what I'm hearing Todd say is that he would like the dollars left in capital outlay should something come up in June that needs doing and can come out of the capital outlay, that it's still sitting there
Right.
because the 2023, 2024, even though we talk about the budget in March and
Yep,
April,
yep.
you don't touch those funds until October 1.
Mhm. Yes.
So in my notes, I'm saying to hold the money probably for next year, re-justify it for 2023, 2024, but keep it in the capital outlay.
It
Is that
doesn't
an
matter when
accurate-
we move
is
it.
that an
That's fine.
accurate way of?
That's
of
fine.
That's
doing
what
that?
I'm looking at,
That's
yes.
fine.
Okay,
That's
all right.
fine.
I just want to make sure I'm doing this.
So right off the top of my head, the things that I'd like to see in part of the discussion for the 23, 24 budget is finding a place to possibly build an outdoor pickleball court. I'd like
Okay.
to figure out where it can be, how much it would cost, what makes sense. I'd like to see doing something with the laundromat, relocating the washer dryers
Yep,
and doing
that's on
something
the-
else with that space, no matter what it would be, card room, whatever. And if we move anything into that space out of the activity center, like if we move some of the card tables out, do we want to entertain a bigger fitness facility?
Yeah, I noticed it's pretty busy in there. I didn't realize how busy it
With
gets in
twelve
there,
hundred and
so
seventy-six homes, we have a
Yeah.
very small gym. It'd be nice to get something that's a little bit more.
I know there was discussion about moving into the Wii room, you know, through there and stuff.
And it may come back. I mean, that was very popular. We bought another TV. It was so popular and then COVID hit.
Oh.
And now nobody's going into that. It's a small space. It gets crowded in there. So I get why people wouldn't, but
It could be possible.
it could come back to life and it
it
was
is
very
coming.
popular and we need
is
to
coming
think
back.
about where we're gonna.
Go away. They
Well, it
use
just
that-
got smaller.
They use that hall,
Yep.
that space every
Yep.
Thursday
Yep.
for they did last year too.
Okay. But I think there was one point it was growing so fast, we were thinking we needed a bigger space and more TVs and then it kind of, so it could come back to life. We need to remember that. But those are the kind of things I personally would like to see part of the discussion. And I'd like to see a facelift with the large hall.
I
as
agree.
Part of the
That's-
discussion.
It needs
um,
it bad.
When
opinion.
we were in there decorating for Christmas and we got those beautiful Christmas lights up and it's Saturday night dance and I'm sorry, but if we can't do anything, can we please paint it and replace the curtains on the
It's a
stage?
Christmas green.
Oh,
Well,
those curtains have been there for so long. I think if we ever took them
I
down
think
to
that
wash
these
them, they would
curtains-
fall apart.
Oh,
And
they
it-
will.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm surprised. the
And,
strings are still-
just, that was one of the projects I was thinking would be awesome for the treasure barn to fund would be painting of the large hall and new curtains because every single person, every time they go into that hall would see this is what the Treasure Barn funded, this beautiful, newly painted hall with new curtains on the stage. And I would, what a better way to advertise or give them recognition than something everybody's going to see all the time. And I think they would make enough money to do that.
You've got a lot on your plate.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I keep adding stuff. to it.
I don't want to end the conversation here, but what I'm hearing is we're going to carry over the funds that are there into the.
We're going to hold them.
To hold them.
We're going to hold them.
Is Todd then going to bring out another list for 23, 24?
Well,
The laundry
again,
room? Because you're gonna have to have prices for
Oh, I know, that's gonna be,
demolition of the laundry room, buying.
I already got a little
for
bit of that
machines,
already,
all
so.
that stuff.
Yeah.
If we wouldn't have to put any labor in if we're going to demolish the maintenance building, but then you gotta develop cost for raising, fencing, everything for an outside.
that's
a
what,
lot of money.
and what I'm asking, that's basically what I'm asking is what direction do you want me to go? Where do you want me to focus my efforts? Because there's 100 projects here.
I want you to do
those.
them all.
Just go ahead and do them all.
Well,
What's your point?
Don't you have time off?
so that's what I'm looking for basically with this is I'd like to see what direction do you really want me to focus? I mean,
As the maintenance trustee, I would think that you would pick out the most important things for what the activities we have here and what is actually
biggest
going to
impact.
be needed to be replaced or refurbished.
okay, I can come up,
I would-
I can
I
come up
would
with a
leave it
few
at
things.
that.
I can come up with a few things for the next meeting. So I don't know, you've already got this on. You want to just bring this back at
I
next
can do
meeting?
that.
And there's
then-
nothing to say you can't make out a list of 15, 20
That's
different items and
exactly
then
the
come back
direction.
and say, okay, board.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Prioritize.
And I'm gonna give you.
I want all the
ball-
ones that I
ballpark.
mentioned. By the way. Those are all priorities for
Well,
me. Mine-
A couple of these were already on my list, so.
Okay.
And I've got about half a
You know,
dozen more.
if you want more lists, I'd like to do something, well, no.
I-
was gonna
and
say our
again,
kitchen could use an upgrade.
Anybody wants to send me an email with
I'd
their
love to see a full
ideas,
Kitchen upgrade, but
seriously, anybody wants to send me an email with their ideas, send it to me. I'm in the book. You know where to get me.
All right, now.
Is there,
You're talking about the public, right?
Public
No.
and you guys too. You guys can send me an email. I just can't-
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't respond to it.
Okay.
And
My only
when you
question-
send your
yeah.
email, just say, do not respond to this
Yeah.
email and you're covered.
my only question about this is this capital outlay budget is like the air conditioning, replacing the air conditioner, is that on there?
well,
Because see, to me, these are way different things. To me, that's a maintenance item and the rest of these
This-
are planned additions to the park.
the way we've done it is, you're right, capital outlay is not the right title. The way we've done it is we've set up a maintenance budget that's
Project budget.
just, keeping everything going. And then we've said occasionally we need to set money aside because we don't know when they're gonna go, but because of their age, they're gonna go. And this money's set aside for air conditioning. It's not part of their daily budget to make sure the lawns are mowed and the trees are trimmed and,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But you're absolutely right. At the end of the year, when we're looking at the money that we spent, a
Mhm.
lot of them are reclassified as maintenance.
Okay.
Okay, they're not actually capitalized and depreciated. They're reclassified as maintenance. But it's our way to
Yeah.
say it should always take about this much money to just do the bare maintenance, the things that always have to be done. And then we need other money for those occasional things that we need to be prepared for. And we threw air conditioners in there, the heat pumps for the pool, because you only do those, hopefully not more than once every 8 or 10 years, but
Hopefully.
when they're getting old, you need to make sure you
Yeah,
set money
I
aside
agree
for
with
it.
that.
So that's
I just-
kind of the way we've done it.
I was surprised to see you had changed this. When I signed that, I thought,
Oh, the
what
project.
what would
plan?
Dwayne say? And you changed it to project plan. And I thought
Because
to
that's
myself,
really what it
uh-oh,
is.
we're changing the name
Yeah,
and you
That was
have
a
it down
twist for
here
you.
and then I have to sign it. I thought,
yeah,
oh,
that was a plant for you.
I'll talk to you about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So it really is a project plan,
Mhm.
I like that.
more than it's a capital. That's just the historical way we've always classified it, and it's not all capital.
Okay, any other discussion? I think we've got a direction we want to head in.
Mhm.
The next item we have then is the update the reservation for function PP 37 and the rules for 37A. Lori?
Yep, I'll do 37 first. Sorry, basically just pitching the old form and starting anew with what's here. Now, one thing as I was going through this for a final for this meeting, I noticed that I didn't have the approximate number of people. And I need to know that so that if they try to say they want to use the Wii room and they're going to have 60 people, that exceeds fire code.
Yep.
All right. And so rather than telling me what the numbers are and making me look it up, I would like to add that somewhere on PP 37A, where it talks about the rules for the functions and make a statement that says the number of people expected cannot exceed the room limits listed in rules and regs.
I agree that statement needs to be on there, but I think you need to make it simpler for you and make sure it's on, quantity expected on that page.
So you still want me to oversee the numbers?
I just think I think it should be a part on here. It makes it
Because-
simple because not everybody's gonna go through and read this. And if you gotta go through a checklist and you're writing it in there, it's gonna
Well,
be right there.
if you're, here's what I'm telling is gonna happen, and I don't care. I can live with this, all right? Golden, because it's been this way, is if you put it on this form, Joe resident is gonna put 60 people, Wii room. I'm gonna be the one that has to review that and call Joe and say, 60 people don't fit in the
Right.
Wii room,
Mhm.
all right? So you
Yep.
still want me to oversee that?
I think it needs to
Then
be
I,
done.
and that's fine.
I think
don't
it's
have,
important.
I think so too.
And it's
I don't
fire
disagree.
code. Your
Yeah, I
amount
think
of
it's
Right.
important.
Number of people is fire code, yes.
Yep.
Because we allow that, we could be liable. anyway,
Exactly.
So
Okay,
Yep, I think it's
all right,
important.
so I will add the number of people back on to PP 37.
Why can't you just say where the lists of the place are, say large hall, maximum 400
put it on
people,
there.
beach pavilion, maximum 100.
It depends on how the room is set up.
Yeah,
but it doesn't give us an idea of how many they think's coming.
Right.
Okay.
It's
Right.
difficult.
They
And
can
if you,
still
if
check
you're
that.
doing like a music event
Yeah.
and you're gonna have different table setups versus rows,
Right,
that
right.
makes a huge difference.
Okay.
all right, so maybe under complete time places needed and above kitchen is expected number of
Attendees.
attendees.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is someone says,
Where,
Yeah, you have approximate number of people on the room
Oh, you
set.
oh,
do.
I did leave it there. I thought,
Good catch,
thank you.
Sandy. Good catch.
Oh, never mind.
Well, then
Well,
maybe.
never mind.
Then maybe save you some time and go ahead and add up here by the large hall, like he suggested, the max number for that room.
Again, I'd rather not because it depends on how the room is
And
set
how
up.
it's set up.
You
Makes a
can't
huge
have,
difference.
you can't have 30 tables in there and 600 chairs.
Mhm.
A fit
so
and
you're
dip.
like gonna have to talk to you're gonna have to talk to almost everybody and walk them through it, sounds like to me.
Well,
That's what I'm
all right,
hearing too.
there was discussion at the last meeting, and that's why I took that map out and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it you and Bill are working on a
Well,
map system?
Again, I haven't got to it yet, but yes, that's
That's
one of the things on my list to get standard layouts laid out
We've-
for the,
We've been living
Halls.
without them. So the fact that we don't have them yet is not the end of the earth in my book. It would be lovely to have when you guys get them. I'm gonna be yippee skipping. But I think, I don't think I want to try to explain large hall, if there's tables, you can have, these are the max, if there's, I don't want to get into that. I just, there, it tells them on the next page that they've got to follow the rules and regs,
Right.
so they're supposed to be going to, they won't, but they're supposed to be going to rules and regs and looking at the maximums.
Okay.
And I prefer to leave that like that. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to know is, looking at just at PP 37 right this second, is this acceptable for a new document? Because here's what I would like to do. I would like to be able to bring this back to the next meeting, get it approved, and get it out there in the world so that when I start getting reservations in January, I'm using the new form. And everybody is using the new form, and it will be very easy to tell who's not using the new form, and I can reject them.
So then you're gonna change this form when we change the activity, craft room or different things like that, you'll redo this.
If
part of it.
if I have to rechange the name of the name of the rooms, the locations, yes, I will change that.
Lori, can this be a fillable document online?
That's one of my goals with this new format like
Okay.
this, is I believe that I can do a reasonable fillable form. The other document was not so great to work with. And I believe that I have cleaned up those things to make this a fillable form, and that's my goal. Will it be fillable by January 1? I can't promise that. But my goal long range is to make this be able to be a fillable form, and that was one of the reasons that I'm trying to simplify the form. And we may wind up with like what we've got for channel 732. You might have one form that looks like this, and then you may have another form that's a fillable,
Okay.
where like the technology needs will just be a box with 300 characters, and they can just free type in it. But if somebody's getting the form that's going to fill it out with an ink pen, they'll have the lines to work with. So because some of these things, when you try to make them a fillable form, the boxes go away and they're just blanks.
Yeah.
And so they can't be used for somebody with an ink pen.
Okay.
So that's probably what I'm seeing here is two documents. One's paper, one's a fillable form. But yes, that's my goal.
Thanks.
So does this look reasonable for PP 37? Does anybody want anything changed?
I don't see anything myself.
Looks good. All right. Then we go on to PP 37A. And the changes that I was recommending, just changing the reference to Marks Hall and then adding the maintenance coordination.
That's fine. The only thing I seen there was it should be maintenance manager, so they're contacting Bill, not sending me, then we're just stepping over.
Okay, where, help me
Under
out.
maintenance
Right,
coordination.
contact maintenance,
Constant maintenance.
so maintenance manager.
CAD manager.
Yep.
Okay,
Cause I'm just gonna send them a bill anyways.
Well, there's the person that's going to be telling
I
you the
also-
number of rooms, the number
also
of
need-
seats.
yeah, I also need to scratch the setup maps are recommended for maintenance to follow because we don't have any setup maps yet.
At this point, right?
When we get them, we can see about adding that back in. And then I can scratch that other piece that they're on the back of the reservation form. All right, so they're supposed to contact the maintenance manager 7 days before the function. And then I moved that statement that used to be on the PP 37, I moved it back here that if an outside caterer is used, because I think since 2016, I haven't had that box checked. They've not had this scenario.
Lori, I have a question. What about the setup takedown cost? Is this in addition to the room reservation?
Setup, takedown cost.
Costs. I mean, we talked about that the last workshop about, is it going to be a standardized cost? Will it be paid in advance? Is it paid after?
This was eerily silent to that because we hadn't made up our minds.
Right.
And there was a discussion about the form that Todd
Right.
said he doesn't have, which is the layouts, and the layouts were gonna say,
Okay.
this layout costs this much,
Right.
this layout costs
Mhm.
this much, this layout costs this much. So I kept eerily silent on that
Okay.
because right this second, we don't have any of that hashed out or beat up. But I truly need this document to be repaired
Right,
before
I understand.
January.
I will attempt to make room layouts a little bit higher priority and I'll try to get to those here
I mean,
soon.
I think the main thing we talked about was that clubs and organizations are not paying setup people out of their own pockets. There's a uniform way of doing it. So that they're not paying someone to come in and set up the room. That's done in a very standardized way.
Right, there was discussion to
Uh-huh.
that, but
Right.
that
I
isn't,
know,
that's eerily silent
I
here.
know.
And we need to work on that and fix that.
But you've
Oh, I know,
gotta-
I
you've
know.
gotta
Okay.
have the form.
Pardon?
You've got to have.
Right, I've got to have the form.
Okay.
So, and we can come back and change, modify the forms slightly. Once I get this document, PP 37 simplified, okay, that will clean up revisions in the future. Because right now, if I tried to change Small Hall to Marks Hall, it reformatted everything on the document because of what I was working with in the beginning. So this one hopefully will be easier to modify on a forward basis. All right, so I'm good to bring this back at the next board meeting?
Any further discussion? Hearing none. You're good.
Okay, good.
Okay, the last item we had on here is the flash drives.
Yes, everybody should have gotten a flash drive in their little pockets by their desk. I hope, has everybody had a chance to take a look at those?
Mhm.
Okay, comments?
Lou's got it.
I got some.
Okay,
First of all, I don't think the employee handbook needs to be in the welcome package. And second, I would also take out the About Us file. I don't think you need the About Us and the welcome message. They're pretty much redundant. I would just have one. And then as far as the directory structure, I would have 3 directories. The first one would be, so they would look the same. You'd have a directory, and then in that directory would be the README first. And then a directory that had the welcome message, and then I have another directory called governing documents or something like whatever. And then in there, I would have the bylaws, the charter, the deed restrictions, and the rules and regs. Just so it's a little easier. I think it'd be a little clearer to navigate that way. And you know what? I would make the doggone website the same, kind of. I mean,
that's what,
yeah,
we had the website this way. That's what I put on the flash drive.
I
Okay,
recognize that when I
so-
was looking at it.
And that's what
Yeah.
what I tried to do is take the About Us tab
Yeah.
off the website
Mhm.
and put it onto a flash drive. And I was trying to reduce the click, 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 click. Oh, there's what I want to read. And so that's why I didn't have all the different directories. I've got one directory that's at the very top. That's read this.
Yeah.
It says the date it was copied and read
Mhm.
this. And that's got the instructions on how to use the flash drive.
Mhm.
Okay, and then everything else is, when you click it, you go directly into what you're looking for, with the exception of PPs, because you've got to go into another directory and then find all the long list of PPs. So, one thing with the way that flash drives work, we have to come up with reasonable names that will format them in the proper order, because I don't get to control the order that it shows up on the flash drive.
By title.
Your computer puts it in alphabetical order, or it puts in order of when it was copied, when it was created. So your computer tries to
Wow.
fix the order.
Mm.
I tried to control that
Yeah.
by having the 2 directories,
Mhm.
the one that said copied on, which forced it to be at the very beginning. And then the policies and procedures, but everything else
Mhm.
it shows up alphabetical. And it's from the About Us, and I can take out anything you want
Yeah.
taken out. And I can stick in what you'd like stuck in, but whatever we stick in needs to be stuck in on the website too. So I was trying to mirror the 2 to some degree with a page of explanation, and Dottie did a really great job
Mhm.
creating that form that looks like a letterhead, not our letterhead, but it looks like a letterhead. And moved just link data that I had in the instructions. She put it in and made it look, pretty nice. But I still stuck it up there as a subdirectory, because if I left it as a file that just said README,
Mhm.
it was way down near the
Yeah.
bottom.
That's why I said, that's
The
why I
R's.
said you'd make directories, because I recognize it would go to the bottom if it's a file.
Right. So that's why it said that first one is called copied. And then it's got the date it was copied. I want everybody to know right off the bat, this was the date that was produced. Because we're changing documents next meeting, we're gonna be changing 37 and 37A. And
If-
so they're fluid.
If you make sure the names are in alphabetical order, and also if you write them to the flash drive at the right time, can the computer not get it out of order?
Well,
Depends on how your computer is sorting the thing.
you
Mm-hmm.
I
can
set
have
mine
yours
up
set
by-
up one, I can have mine set up other.
Right.
Mary's
Yeah.
got hers set up where I look over her shoulder, I go, "Psst, just never mind, find what you gotta find, because I can't follow the way that Mary tracks her stuff. So
How many
She
ways can you
looks
set
at-
it up?
she looks at me,
Any of,
You-
any of the tabs across the top, you can click on it and it'll format to that. You can do it by what you've done today. Or you can put it in alphabetical.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, you got lots of options there.
you can file
On
it
how you
last
sort
30
things.
days, whatever.
File size probably.
Or like me, you
Yes,
just
you can
delete
do it.
them and.
Any
don't
of
realize
the
you're doing
headers
it.
across the top of your file list, you can do it. You can do it by
Small
icons.
Medium
Yep.
icons, large icons, extra large icons, list, detailed list, and it's how you want to watch
Yeah.
it.
You learn something every day. I did not know what reorder the stuff on the flash drive.
Oh, yeah, I do it all the time. It's just find stuff.
Well, I do that, but when you first plug it in, it doesn't be,
However
However
your
you-
files
Your last.
is
time
set
you
up
used it.
is what it's gonna be.
So I'm
Okay.
trying, my attempt was to outsmart everybody's computer.
And just
with the-
use
with the
what we
way that-
had.
the way that I've got it formatted.
Can you refresh my memory? I thought we bought 300 of these flash drives
We did.
at one time.
We did.
Where are they at?
I believe Dottie has them. Are you still online, Dottie?
She's probably muted.
Can
Well,
you
Yes,
unmute?
I am. I had to, it took a second to unmute. Yes, I have the box sit right in here in front of me.
no,
Can you hear me?
Are you
Yeah.
okay?
Oh.
I guess my question is, when are those going to come to the office?
Well, okay. Lori, can I respond to that?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, the plan was for the computer club to do that. So when the board decides to move forward with whatever format you guys are discussing, then those would be copied onto however many drives you want in the office. And then the computer club would volunteer to do that work, give it to the office so they have the drives, for them to use. And they would keep
Okay.
replenishing them until the 300 was up and need to order more.
Okay, that's my first question. Then the second question is, we have 2,500 residents. Are we giving one to each household, or is it
The-
going to mom and dad?
The intent, if I
don't
can,
know. I'm sorry,
if-
my memory's gone.
can I speak to that, Lori?
Go ahead.
I thought the intent was to reduce paper and not hand out paper copies of the documents. Of course, if someone needs that, they can ask for it. It was to give out to owners and residents, the new ones, as they come in. And I would presume if others want it, they can ask for it. It'd be there, but it wasn't intended just to hand out to 1,200 people because they're here.
So
It
my-
wasn't
my-
intended to mail to everybody.
Yeah, but in October, as they come in, is 300 going to be sufficient? I bet we've already pushed
Right.
in.
All right, TJ doesn't hand a welcome package to everybody who shows up at the window in October. Right, when there's a new purchase in the park, be it in October or be it in February, she has a bundle of papers that she generally hands out.
Mhm.
And this would be in lieu of the paper, handing out this flash drive.
Yep.
Okay, and then if somebody comes to the office and says, well, I'd like copies of the rules and regs and the deed restrictions, TJ could say, would you like this flash drive? All of the documents are on the flash drive. And if they've got a computer at home, they'll be thrilled to have a flash drive. It wasn't intended to go door to door and give it one to everybody.
Okay, so 6 months from now, when we've changed 18 different policies and the person comes and I want a flash drive, how do they get the updated information without having to go
Bring it up.
back to the
That's
website to check it?
That- They
That's my
don't,
third
they
question.
don't, they don't. What I'm recommending is that the flash drives be generated January 1. Okay, And that's why the flash drive, the very first thing says copied on. And it has the
Okay.
date that it's copied on. And then if you look at the instruction page, which I know you were coming back and so you're missing some of the stuff.
Yep.
But on the instruction page, this is the pretty one that Dottie created. On the instruction page, it tells them that this drive was copied on. Now, this has a November date because that's the date that those documents are current. All right. And then how to go through the file.
Okay.
All right. What I thought was going to happen is that we were going to keep the supply of blank flash drives in the office. And then when we needed a supply, we needed 20 or 30, we don't know how fast these are going to go out. But when we needed 20 or 30, we would turn 20 or 30 over with an original for the computer club to create the 20 copies. No changes. What? I can't, and you can't expect anybody else to keep up with changing flash drives that are sitting in a box for
Right.
TJ to hand out on a meeting to meeting changing basis. That's why my recommendation was you do it January 1, 2023. This is 2023's flash drive. It was created and I made a big stink on it about when it was created so that anybody who sticks it in, and it tells them if, you need to go to the website to get the most current.
But
I
here's
I
just
thought we were
the-
only keeping like 10 in the office and the computer club was gonna update them as needed. But I mean, I don't know.
I don't.
That's what I
that,
remember
but-
hearing, but I don't know if that's what we decided or not. I have to go back and look at minutes.
Well, I
I
think our
don't-
property should stay in the office.
That was kind of the direction that I was kind of thinking.
I need to
Because of
in-
our protocols for Ian and our storage of our equipment, blah, 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 blah.
How do we inventory that?
I
when
have
it's
to
in somebody-
inventory them. They're no
Yeah.
different than a chair.
Right. So
Because that's hard to do.
I
that.
think we're gonna have to, if that was what we had planned, I think we're gonna have to go to the plan that says they stay in the office.
Yep.
We take a supply to the computer club
When
with
we-
a master that says, please make these.
Yep.
Right.
And maybe we can give the computer club a master that they keep on a computer somewhere that's January 2023.
Yeah.
And we can just give them the blank. And would that work, Dottie?
Well, yes, it could, although I think to reduce any issues about, oh, you didn't copy the right one, or you copied this and copied that, it's better to give an original to
That
the
works.
computer club and let them copy from that. That way somebody else is handling what's on there.
Okay, that sounds good. I like that idea, Dottie.
And then another question is, what are the cost of the 300? I forgot that also. What did we pay for them?
800 and something.
800. So is this something that has to be put into the budget every year if this takes off? $800 is a
Yeah, it would be,
recurring fee,
yeah, it came out of the office budget
Yep.
and.
Yep.
which
And
is
stuff.
limited, but
Well,
They'll
okay,
have to-
but when, as you bake your office budget.
Yep.
For 2023, 2024, you want to bake in flash drives, but by the time April rolls around, we'll have a better handle on how
Yeah.
fast they're flying out of the office.
Yep.
Okay, so this is just a little test thing,
okay,
and stuff, so.
answered my question.
I hesitate to bring this up, but I think I have to.
Mhm.
If you make this file on January 1st and we change stuff in February, I'm leery of handing out something that we know is that isn't accurate to a resident.
Well,
So here's my proposition, and maybe Dottie will speak to whether this is practical or not. What if on the server, you had a file that was the welcome package? And every time we updated something, when you finish updating a PP or whatever, you also update it in that thing. And then when somebody wants a flash drive, EJ takes a blank one, puts it in the computer, copies that one file on, that one directory onto it that's got the flash drive, and then it's up to date as of that date.
One at a time.
all,
Mm-mm.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I can just see.
Yep.
Here's the new flash drive as of today, but I got mine 6 months ago and they're gonna say, well, that's not what mine says.
And
Mine's
you're right. I
all
recognize
updated."
it's not a
Yeah,
perfect
it's-
scenario, but
yeah.
that's my hesitancy is to give one out that you know isn't right.
Oh,
Do we maybe switch, read this first, switch 1 and 2 and make it, the very first one say data contained on this drive is current only as of the date you receive it. To access the most current information, go to our website, trailerestates.com.
I wouldn't even say the date you receive it.
You gotta say the date. you
Most
made it.
accurate data is on the website. That's where everything's at.
Yeah, use the website
So-
as much as possible.
You have to say that, this could be out of date for reference website for current information, or I don't know how to phrase it. It's not my, not.
To access
my thing.
most current information, go to our website.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Sure.
One of the concepts of this whole thing was to not to add something to staff to do. And that's why the computer club is a logical place to have that, because we have interest in technology and interest in helping. The intent was for 1 flash drive per household, not for people to come in and get 5 flash drives.
Right.
And the other idea is to encourage people to go to the website. So what you're talking about, go to the website for the most current of whatever. This is just a tool, not to replace the website. And if we can encourage people to learn about the website and to go to it, I think that benefits the park and it benefits them in general.
I agree.
I have another comment is you even say in the README, some of the, like the charter, it says it's rarely changed. What if so the charter rarely changes, the deed restrictions rarely change. And the bylaws rarely change, but what about not putting the rules and regs on and say, refer to the website, because that changes. And we change it all the time.
Policies and
Policy and
procedures.
procedures
The P-
changed too.
Yeah, the PPs and the rules and regs. I would, if the other 3 you could put on there, and it gives someone a flavor that says, this is what we allow in our park in general. But I'm hesitant to give out the stuff that we change regularly. On a,
Right, we're trying to reduce the paper that's handed out of the office.
Yep.
So when somebody comes in there and says, I want a copy of the rules and regs, we're proposing that TJ offers them a flash drive
Mhm.
as opposed to paper, but now you're saying don't put rules and regs on there. Same thing with the welcome package. They come into the office, they want a welcome package. We're proposing that TJ offers them a flash drive
Mhm.
as opposed to paper, and now you're saying don't put that on the flash drive. So we're defeating our purpose if we take it off the flash drive. We can make it more obvious that we change them throughout the year, and that's why I tried to say, like, under rules and reg, this section may receive changes each year.
Make it even cheaper and
Maybe say
give them a business
throughout the
card.
year.
Go to the website.
Yeah. Here's your card.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you there, but I was just saying, you make it cheaper, give them a business card, say, here, go to the website. This is
I
all
have a stack
information
of them
here.
in my drawer, I'll pass them out, no problem. I'm just saying, so, but we're trying to help reduce the amount of paper, so we can't, in my mind, I don't want to subtract what's paper in there that's getting passed out from the flash drive that we want to pass out, because then we still have to pass out the paper. We're trying to make
I
this
understand.
either.
Well-
I'm kind of siding with Lou, I'm sorry, but make sure that if we are giving out anything, whether it be in the form of a flash drive or a piece of paper, it's the most updated
Yeah.
version at the time we're passing it out, knowing it could change the month later.
At the flip side, if
But-
that stack of welcome papers sits there for 6 months, it's
But-
probably not accurate either.
But the day we pass it out, we have an obligation to make sure whatever leaves our hands and goes in somebody else's hand is the most accurate it can be on that day. The fact that it can change later, we can't control that.
So, all right, so what I'm hearing, we need to see what kind of numbers we've got going out. But what I'm hearing is that when this new world, next meeting, we approve the new PP 37. So I update PP 37 on the server. I update PP 37 on the website. I update PP 37 on a on the flash drive master, okay? And then I change my date to whatever date, the 19th, December 19th. And then I make 6 or 8 of them. I take them out to the office. I collect the ones that had the old stuff, bring them back. And now she's got the latest and greatest. And that can work until the summertime. When
You're
things
gone.
change over the summer. Of course, we don't have a lot of people coming in the office to get flash drives,
And
so
we don't.
that probably wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
But part of this, I'd like to see how these fly out of here.
Yeah. I don't
So-
think the intention was ever to like give them to the residents. The intention is to give them to someone who just bought a place in
The
here.
new
Or
one.
is
They have no
thinking,
idea.
really, or thinking about buying a place in here.
So they know everything first.
Start everything off in a good
Yeah, instead
place.
of just
Make sure
handing
they've
them
got
out to
that.
everybody in the residents.
Right.
How many residents come in and get the welcome package? Most of the
I don't
time
know.
it's new people.
But we've
yeah,
had people
I hand
come to
them
the
out
window who are
constantly.
looking at purchasing in here.
Right.
And we've
Yeah.
given them a welcome package to
It's
help them
Highly appropriate.
understand more about the park, so they will definitely.
And we've used that welcoming package to
Yeah.
walk up someone's door and introduce them to the deed restrictions.
Do public relations.
Do you do
What a
that?
concept.
Okay, and with that, one would adjourn.
So I need to know, are we gonna move forward with the thought of trying to have some ready the 1st of January? And then the concept is we're gonna see how fast they fly out the door. And I will keep a master, so when I'm updating, I'm gonna update the server, the website, and the master.
Mhm.
And then collect them from TJ and recopy and send them back.
And that's what we can use the computer
see
club
how-
for, updating them to the most recent information
Right.
and making any new ones if
Yeah.
we need new ones.
And hand them the old ones.
Sure, to
Yeah.
redo.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That would be great.
Would that be in your wheelhouse, Dottie?
Can you repeat again what the decision was? I only caught part of it.
The thought process is that those flash drives that are in the office will be the latest, greatest version that will include whatever changes we voted on up to that point. So if we pass out a flash drives in January, and then in February, we make changes to a PP, we would pull back any January flash drives from TJ and have them recopied with the new data that would be dated February.
Yes,
Okay.
Or we gotta get the.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Dottie, we are gonna need the inventory of flash drives.
well, that's
In-
okay. I'll drop them off today.
That's fine. And then, how many do we think we want at the onset?
Start with 10, see where it
Yeah.
goes.
Let's say
Yeah.
10.
10, okay. I'm gonna have to do the changes, sorry. I'm gonna have to do the changes, what I know is coming up at the end of December. And make the few changes to the read this first page that you created. So we're not gonna be ready, I won't be ready until late December to give you 10 to have you copy. Is that,
That's fine, whatever time frame you want. And I think also the welcome package document was out of date because
Yeah,
the
it was-
website's out of date.
it was, I've got a new version.
Yeah, when I'll drop the ones we have off with a roster of the inventory we've already taken out. And then you let me know from there.
All right, Dottie, take a look at the welcome package and leave me a note on what you think is outdated. Because I thought I had the updated version on the flash drive.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did we answer Lou's concern about whether the employee director
Yeah, they-
manual should
yeah.
be on the flash drive or not?
I agree, it doesn't need to be.
I don't think it needs to be.
All right,
The employee handbook.
what we had said was we took everything on the About Us tab
Mhm.
and we just grabbed that and put it on a flash drive. And so now we're saying we don't want everything on the about us tab, we want to exclude, I'm just
Exclude.
asking.
Well, I guess my opinion is we've already agreed to that. Let's leave it at that. See how this thing runs for 6, 8 months, however long it's going to take.
Mhm.
See how the whole process is going, and then make changes if we want to take that stuff out.
Might be
I hate
good
to
if
go
someone's
through
going
and-
to get an application or something.
Yeah, change all this stuff after we've agreed to it.
Because it's not unknown data, it's out there on the website,
Mhm.
not deep tech secret. All right,
Lucy,
Okay,
yes.
any other discussion with the flash drive?
Okay, could I have resident comments, please?
I got 3 minutes and 30 seconds. No.
Dwayne, this is Pete. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Pete.
I'm sorry, I've listened to this entire meeting and I haven't been able to say anything because I guess due to my own ignorance, I didn't know how to get the audio turned on till now. But I had, I tried to give my report and try to make some comments on some other issues, but I don't think you were able to hear me when I tried to intercede. So
No,
can I make some comments at this time? Can you hear
Yeah, go
me?
ahead, and I'll hold off resident comments for just a minute. Go ahead, Pete.
Okay. Yeah, Sandy had mentioned something about new residents and activities in the park and how many we have and so forth. And I just want to make it known that we're having an activity fair on January the 14th in the large hall from 9 o'clock in the morning till noon. And every activity has an open invitation to have a table available and information on what their activity is. And at that time, they can also sign up volunteers to assist with that particular activity. And along with that, cookies will be provided. And coffee break, I always had a table there, and coffee break makes and provides the coffee at that time also. And whoever takes over my position, I will be glad to give them the form to fill out and turn over to Peg Jensen. And if any other activity wants to participate, they can contact her for a copy of the form to fill out the information for what their needs are for that fair. And then on that, I just want to make note that there is no potluck for December, and that the next coffee break will be December the 17th, and that tickets will be on sale at the post office from 10 o'clock until 11:30, starting on Wednesday, and will go until next Thursday. And one other thing is, I know there's been a lot of comment, and information I have seems sort of unimportant compared to all the conversation that has been going on during the meeting. But I noticed there's been a lots of comment on updating different things of the park, different facilities in the park, like updating the large hall and updating the pool deck with a new deck at a large cost. And at the same time, I would like to suggest updating the pickleball nets. And there's 3 of them, and they've been there since pickleball originated. And they're kind of flimsy, and they're kind of bulky to set up and take down. They have to drag them across the floor, and when you do, they kind of come apart sometimes. Put them back together and set them up. And they're kind of cumbersome to store because you store them in just one piece against a wall. And there are new nets come out that are on rollers, and you can roll them out, and they fold up and are very fairly compact. And the cost on those is just a little less than $1,200. And pickleball is willing to contribute $600 towards that cost if the park will agree to the additional $600 just to upgrade their nets. So that's about all I had to offer.
Well, with that, I wouldn't mind having the chairperson of the pickleball come to the trustee
So the trustee, or for the maintenance trustee to bring that back as a workshop item. If we're going
That's what I was gonna say. Have them send me an email with that information. And we'll go from there.
Okay, we'll do that then. And thanks a
Okay.
lot for listening. I'm sorry I couldn't cut in at the beginning, but due to my own ignorance, why I couldn't. I wanted to come to the meeting, but I have a pretty bad cold and I didn't want to share it with anybody else. So
All right, so Pete, you've been here for the entire meeting?
I have from the
You just
opening prayer till now.
Can I,
When you,
can I mark
when
him
you,
up
ma-
as in attendance on Zoom?
On Zoom.
Okay, then, just as a matter of business, did you have any problem with, the minutes as written? Can I make those that you approve those too?
yes, I did, but you couldn't hear me.
Okay, same thing with the treasurer's report?
Yes,
Okay, and the same thing with the three, documents that were updated under new business?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask one? The coffee break on the 17th, what will the topic be?
It will be the fun singers. They will be
Oh,
doing
okay.
their Christmas caroling and any other songs they want to interject.
Okay, thank you very much for your report, Pete.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we'll go with the resident comments.
Thanks, Lenore.
No problem. Lenora Neal, 6619 California Street.
Thank you.
Can you pull that?
I just have a few things. One, I would like to see the park have a letterhead. I mean, we send out information to people and things like that, and just kind of like, we have no logo, we have no, even if it was just Trailer Estates, something to look uniform. The other thing is golf cart parking. Seems to be becoming a big thing now with people having golf carts, and I've seen, we park along the pool on that slope. I am really afraid of somebody getting hurt there. I mean, they back down off that hill and they don't see somebody behind them. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I could come up with an answer, but space here is so limited. And the flash drive thing, I have a problem with that a little bit, just because can't you just give them, I know you're trying to get rid of paper, but like someone said, here's our web address. It has everything you ever want to know about Trailer Estates. Go there and check it out. Because if they can't do that, they're not going to work a flash drive. I mean, and most people today, I got no place to put a flash drive. And a lot of people just use a phone. They don't, or an iPad. There's no place to put a flash drive. Because laptops and that are becoming a little more obsolete. So it's just something to think about. I hope it works. It's a good idea, but I think we're a step behind. And then the other thing was, I heard someone mention the kitchen update. That would be because there's the stoves, the ovens, and that they've had a few years on them, and they get a lot of use, believe it or not. Big dinners and stuff, and like Cook's Night Out throughout the summer get used once a month, and it can be frustrating when you go in and find out the oven had kicked off because the door didn't quite close, and then your food's going to go to waste. So I just think update the kitchen would be really nice.
Okay, any other resident comments? Anybody on Zoom?
Yes, Dottie, 1804 Ohio Avenue. Just a couple of comments. Hey, Pete, if you need help with your computer, I know a good club that can help you. I'll send an email to Todd, but I wanted to recommend that the Masonic room where they store the equipment for people that is used a lot, wheelchairs and things like that, they could use a larger space to store the equipment and to do maintenance. I know that currently one of the residents does maintenance out of his own garage, and I wanted to put that out there as a recommendation. And then I would like to recommend that the space that the Masonic equipment is in be used for the computer club and the veterans club. We have a lot of people that want to do one-on-one training. And if we had a place to set up the equipment, then we could go there and meet with people to do that. And we also do a lot of family in need and veterans in need with their Veterans Club. We really don't have a place to meet with them. And that would be good visibility right there by the post office. So that's my recommendation. And Todd, I'll send you an email. Thank you.
Okay, any other resident comments? Hearing none, I'm gonna close the workshop at 12:19. Please turn off your microphones.